Hi, this is Joseph Arthur. Thanks for checking out Come to Where I'm From. Please support us on Patreon, patreon.com/come to where I'm from. We are an independent podcast, and any contributions you can make are greatly appreciated. Yeah, so how's it going?
It's going really, really, really good.
August Cinjun Tate, episode 113. Honored to have you.
We are honored to have you. You're like
beyond thankful. This is a blessing, man. Thank you, guys. This is brilliant,
man,
brilliant.
It's a blessing for us. I mean, you're so talented, man. Did you know the Vallejo brothers?
I did. Alabamian institution.
Yeah, I love those guys.
I knew them cursory. We knew each other and we hung out, and they were really sweet. So everybody in Birmingham is really sweet. I like
love
them. Very
Birmingham.
nice. Yeah, I do too. My guitar player,
Nick and all that.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I love it.
Yeah, because I lived in Atlanta for 4 years, and you would tour and go to the Nick.
Yeah, exactly. In the middle of nowhere.
Right.
Atlanta was cool.
Venue?
Yeah, it's a venue that used to be like a 7-Eleven.
Exactly.
You know.
And that's where we actually first show as Remy. We played there.
Really?
Yeah, that was where we there, and then the place where the Vallejo played.
Is it the size of a 7-Eleven?
Yes.
Yeah.
Imagine they just took out the groceries.
But a great venue.
It's
just
really
the
cool.
same. Like, I don't know. It has
The Nick?
It has a soul. The Nick.
Pam Stallings runs it. It's amazing.
And then you would go to Huntsville and play the Tip Top.
Yeah, Tip Top Cafe. Flashback right now. Because I just got back a couple weeks ago. I was in Atlanta, Birmingham, and Nashville, and it was really cool to visit all my old places. You know,
What were you doing?
kind of on seeing my family. You know, and just in the worst time on earth. So I was just going from my mom's in Nashville. All my friends, you know, my old guitar players down in Birmingham, and then my brother and some people in Atlanta.
And your mom's an artist?
Yeah, she played string bass in the symphony when she was like 15, but she grew up rough Scrabble, so she didn't have a time to kind of really.
What's rough Scrabble?
She had to take care of kids. It was, you know, we were not economically blessed, so she worked at the phone company, but she was a great poet and just amazing. So.
And your dad was a poet too?
Artist, painter.
Oh, so that was reversed in the info.
My bad.
When did he pass?
He passed when I was about 16, 17, I think, because he lived in Atlanta, so we would always go back and forth. Okay, I got to say something really quickly on record.
Okay.
You're amazing, and this is such a flippin' honor to sit and talk to you. So
Thank you.
There you go. I really respect your music, and it's really great.
Well, it's shared respect.
Whoops.
Did we ever meet at Real World? I mean, did you record at Real World?
No, but Botchel, who produced Villa, he was always there.
Exactly, because I met him way back in the day.
Love him.
He's
just
a great guy.
All around good guy, man.
Yeah.
We've been really lucky to we've dealt with just really great people. A lot of people have so many horror stories, and I have nothing but I have really good people in our lives, both on the industry side and musicians that we met. It's just really beautiful, I think.
Yeah. The record he produced for you guys is exceptional.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. Wow. Where'd you guys record that?
In L.A. and some in L.A. and some in Atlanta.
Oh, okay.
And it was the Villa Elaine record, and Botchel's just great, man. I have nothing but great things to say about that guy.
What did he bring to you?
You know what's great is he gave us just enough room to kind of create on our own. And, you know, we had our little Neve board, and we had a 2-inch 16 track, and so we were kind of able to run that world, you know. But he let us kind of go crazy, but then a bad analogy is like Catcher in the Rye, where he pulled us back. And it was really good, you know. He's just, and he brought a good, like, an influx of energy, you know. I just like him a lot.
Who mixed that record?
He did, and so did Flood.
Okay.
Because we had a lot of tracks. And, you know, Flood did My Bloody Valentine, who we were obsessed with, you know.
Yeah,
those kind of people.
I'm obsessed with them, too.
Oh, Kevin Shields, man.
Kevin Shields.
We met him. We met so many people back when we were little kids in Alabama. And they played at, what's the venue by the Junkman's Daughter in Atlanta?
The Point.
No. It's further out. It's an institution where the guy from the Cramps broke the stage. They have 3 levels dance floor. That's the Masquerade.
The Masquerade.
And we met them after a show there, and you know, here we are, kids from Alabama, and they're in the back of our like broken down somebody's mom's Nissan, and it's like Kevin Shields sitting there. He's just falling asleep with cigarettes. It was so cool. Him and his wife, Anne Marie.
I met him at a festival in Spain.
Really?
Yeah, and I went up to him and asked him, like, are you going to ever make another record?
Oh.
And then I asked him about what was the secret to getting that sound he had.
Yeah.
And he said he got a guitar that had this amazing whammy bar.
Right.
And then I realized, everything's bending all the time.
Yeah. But I'd never heard up until that moment that something sonically that threw me for a loop. I would just, that was his own thing. Now, anyone who does that, it's just Kevin Shields, you know?
It is.
It's just a unique little,
everything's like kind of inside out and upside down. Like
it feels like the tape's stopping or slowing, you know? It's just really brilliant. And, you know, all the distortion, too, gives all those weird reverbing overtones. It's like, so cool, man. I love those guys.
Yeah, it's interesting, like, back in the day, back like then, the way people made records and what they were going for is different than now.
There was this weird feeling of, like, things happening. You know, you would go on one side and you had, like, kind of the Nirvana world, and you had My Bloody Valentine or Stone Roses. There's just so many great things. Or, you know, Mazzy Stars and just Cocteau Twins. I mean, there was so many strange things, you know. I guess everyone says that at their, there's a certain age everyone hits, and that's, like, your age, right? You know,
yeah.
Music.
But those big studio albums, like, that was like when we were coming up. That was what happened if you got lucky enough to be involved in
to get in there. Yeah.
You know, nowadays it's like kids with laptops, which
And
is still
it's great.
killer. Like,
Right.
but it's just a whole different experience, I think.
It's strange for me to have I have a Pro Tools on my laptop and I have a Logic on my laptop. And when I start playing with Logic and some of these other things, it's like so fail-proof. That you could just hit anything. It's like, yeah, that sounds good. You know, just preset. And it's like, man, you know, if you wanted backwards reverb, you had to like mark the tape, flip it, you know, and redo it and send it to an alternate track. And there was something fun about that. So any effect or idea, you had to really commit to it. You know, you had to say, okay, I'm going to be up for 2 hours just for this one thing, rather than just saying, that doesn't sound good. It sounds good. You know, not to disparage it, because I do it all the time. I love it now.
And then you're in a studio that costs $2,000 a day with like a producer. Like if you have like a record company backing you.
So many toys.
I was listening to Villa Elaine, and I was just like, it took me back, and it made me think about, like, because it's so emotional, you know, and that used to be what everyone was going for, like this emotional reveal, you know, and I don't feel like it's the same anymore. Like, it doesn't feel as emotional. Music seems to be, I don't know, less emotional.
Cleaned up somehow.
I don't know why that is.
No, I completely exactly see where you're coming from.
Yeah. So you never made it out to real world.
No,
I can't
wish.
say that.
That was kind of. Did you go to the room that had the water underneath the?
Yeah.
floor?
I mean, I lived there for months and months because I made
Now it's switching. Now I don't like you anymore.
2 or 3 records.
I was
out.
so jealous.
Oh, I was signed to Peter Gabriel's label.
Yeah.
So, you know, it was like the home base, basically.
That's brilliant, man. That's so great.
Yeah.
Which records did you do there?
I did Big City Secrets.
Wow.
I did part of Come to Where I'm From. I did part of Redemption Sun was all mixed there. The day 9/11 happened was the day Chad Blake was mixing that record.
Oh, yeah.
Did you ever work with him?
No, but I know him. I met him very, very briefly, you know.
Right. Where'd you meet him?
I thought, for some reason, I say Atlanta. But we kind of met a lot of people. To be honest, in a lot of that time, I was kind of living in the ether, you know. I was kind of here and there, you know. So, but we would need an influence.
What do you mean by that? You were on drugs?
Well, no.
What do you mean by living in the ether?
I kind of,
No.
I've been blessed with a,
I think you're still in the ether now.
no.
Cinjun.
No, but I used to drink a lot, you know, so, but I don't drink anymore.
Not at all. Total sobriety.
Total sobriety.
Not even weed.
I have no idea what you're referring to.
I mean, that's okay.
That's fine.
You know, whatever works for you.
I actually am completely sober on it, and it's really good. I actually did something recently that was just foolish. I was taking Cymbalta, antidepressants, for a long time. And see, I just came out of cancer, and so I had surgeries after surgeries, chemo, and then more back surgeries, and you know, I'm still. It's really hard for me for the neuropathy, because as a musician, this is just constant pain. So every chords and piano is just brutal, and
You're still in constant pain.
Oh yeah. But you know, I just got off of everything and not drinking. But I decided to just quit some antidepressants, cold turkey, and everybody said that's the worst idea you can think of, and it was. It just sent me into a spiral. So I'm coming out of a depression, but I'm off those now, which is great because I felt like it was just numbing me. It just it kept not numb, but not in that good sense of numb, but more of you could sense there was a storm brewing right behind that, you know.
Right.
So it was just really scary, and I just would rather try to temper myself naturally than that way. Cymbalta, terrible.
That's a antidepressant. Yeah, because I guess they like get you out of a bad situation.
That's why. Yeah.
But then they stop working as well, and then you're numb.
You're supposed to take them and then wean off, but usually they're given to you, and then it's just kind of like, all right, see you later. And so you as a individual, it's just kind of, you just keep getting them refilled. I guess.
Right.
It was a really dark period. And that was during my whole trek, last 3 months.
So when did you jump off those?
About 3 months ago.
Oh, okay.
And that was right when I was going to visit my mom, and there's a lot of issues at home and I wanted to see my friends, that I hadn't seen in a long time. But it was strictly chemical. I could see myself doing things that just weren't me. I was cognizant enough to think, this is really strange,
Like what?
I mean, honestly, I just was drinking like crazy. I fell completely off the wagon. And
oh, I see.
And but I got really dark and just, I was doing bad things, I guess. I mean, I was just really on a mission to just erase myself from this planet, and yet my mind was like, this is insanity because that's so not my personality.
Right.
I'm very, very much like I see like really cool things in this world, And I have this little monkey man. He's 5 years old.
Mm-hmm.
His name's Atticus Arrow Cinjun Tate, and I love him more than the sun and the moon. He's the best. I had to say that.
Congratulations.
I know, he's great. He loves me. And I have a beautiful wife, Sarah. But I just went crazy.
Is she the mother?
Yes.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, she's an incredible artist, like insane. She's amazing.
And you guys are just like raising him in Jersey.
Right, exactly. Pass me a drink.
Well, I mean, if you're in constant pain, it's like forgivable that you would like,
right.
I don't know, fall off.
It's been brutal, and just trying to do it in natural, it's been really hard.
Do you know like Pema Chodron?
Yeah, I don't know, but I know of.
Right, you know of her? Do you watch her videos?
I've seen some, and like we took most of the stuff it was me and some friends. We were living in Cambodia for about a year, and that's where I went with my wife there and my brother. It was amazing. And I mean, I say I'm Buddha. I've been so bad. I took the Bodhisattva vow, in LA, but I haven't behaved well at all. Not in terms of externally.
None of us have behaved well, Cinjun. We're sinners.
Extremely.
That's the point.
Oh man, it's beyond. Yeah.
We got to forgive ourselves.
We can edit this, right?
Yeah, we haven't started yet.
Okay, good, because I went bleak, man. I was like, it was dark, and I've been horrible.
But it's just from the pain that you went dark?
Well, it was they says it can send you into psychosis, and I'm a structure.
The medication itself.
Leaving it and just cold turkey, and I'm a structure that's not really up to code anyway. So the slightest little wind, it just knocked me off course. And I got dark, man, and to be considering suicide and doing these things is totally opposite of who I am. It's just not me.
Yeah, but there's a lot of pressures in the world right now.
It's
and
brutal.
You going through what you're going through, it's like...
And to wake up every morning and just think, I'm hurting. But to be honest, I'm on the upswing. I've been exercising again and feeling really good. So
yeah.
I mean, I'm trying to balance it with the positivity that I'm feeling. And I do see a lot of really golden things. And I've started painting and writing music again, so I'm happy.
That's great.
Yeah, it's cool.
Is the cancer completely in remission? Is it gone?
Yeah. Well, the one that I had, they did some surgeries and took out like my rectum, lymph nodes, and had some surgeries on my vertebrae and stuff. And I still have my port, because I did the chemo and radiation thing. The problem happened. My back had always hurt, and I don't know how much we want to talk about this, but my back was always hurting, and I was always hurting very badly. So when I did the chemo and radiation is when the neuropathy happened. Mm-hmm. And like I've broken my toes a few times and not even known it.
What's neuropathy?
It's where your nerves are just burnt. When they give you chemo and radiation, it's such poisons that it just burns them. And usually it just like it's one side or the other usually, and my whole left side is just like fried. Like, imagine your funny bone being hit at all times. So
Fuck.
it just hurts all the way. You know?
When you're going through something like that, do you think like why? Like, do you like ask God like, are you forsaking me? Or like, do you feel like you're being
Et tu,
punished?
Brute?
Or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Do you take it personally, or like do you explore like why is this happening to me?
Yeah, it's interesting. That's a really good question. I'd never think of it in terms of asking some external power, like, why are you doing this to me? Because, I mean, there's so many aspects, I could have taken care of myself, but it's also could have been, my father passed away from that genetically.
Right.
But I just, what I ask myself is usually, what can I do about this right now? How am I going to get through this day? How
That's
am I going to get
healthier.
through? Yeah. Because you think long term, that's when I fracture. I mean, I'm not like this. I don't have I kind of have like a hummingbird mind where I do, and thankfully where I can think about things only to, very shallow endy up to a point. And then when I hit that, it's like my mind just turns off like a breaker, almost like a defense mechanism. If it's too much, it just flips it. And then I'm able to kind of just see something great about the day, or about something, try to turn my mind. I don't know. I'm just not going to question it too much because that's what got me through my whole life, childhood and everything,
What techniques do you use to flip the switch? Like,
usually I just do that calming meditation thing where you have to catch yourself in between breaths. It's something that's so close to you that it's closer than breath. So you have to kind of catch yourself in between words. And if I just do it for a few minutes, it's magic. In fact, when I do sit down and meditate, my whole life changes. If I can wake up, if I have the time in the morning to just wake up and do that, it's brilliant,
what do you mean catch yourself between breaths?
Catch myself before I immediately, like if someone says something, or something happens, your first response is to react.
Right.
React. And so if I have pain, rather than saying, ouch, that hurts, or that's bad, you catch yourself and just say, okay, that's an extreme feeling. It's not, I'm not categorizing it bad or good. It's just like, wow, that's, as soon as you start applying those things, you put it in that category. This is good, this is bad. And so I try to catch myself in those moments where if something's hugely painful, I try to not just categorize it as bad. Or if something's, before I react to say a statement, if I'm upset, I try to catch myself real quick and think, okay, I'm reacting out of anger. And rather than just sling bows and arrows at each other, like, okay, what's going on here? I always try to calm situations. And it's good and bad, but I'm still human and I make a lot of mistakes. I try to be better. I do try to be better for everyone. Mostly, the people I love.
Well, we all do.
No, it's brutal.
Do you ever use metacognition? Like observing yourself? Like, for instance, if you got this pain, you go like, who has this pain? Who's
Brilliant.
asking who has this pain?
You trace it back.
So you just keep up-leveling your perspective.
Brilliant.
You ever do that?
Yes. Do you do that?
I try to.
That's magic. It's so beautiful.
Yeah.
Because you have to see what defines you, who is the you, and it takes you down to the fact that you are just transitory. You're the whole, everything you think of. When I was younger, that was really hard pill to swallow. That everything that you think of as unique and amazing is really just, it's going to fade away, and that could relate to like ghosts who hang on to their identity and they live, even when they pass, they're like, this identity and this ego is so strong that they just wander. And there is something that's behind it though, and I think it's brilliant when you take those exercises. And even if it's not like you don't gain anything, you're not going to get to the point where it's like, I'm there. But that little bit of time that you do that affects every other area in your life. So treat it like, if you go on this big journey, like I'm going to find myself, if you start focusing on something else, you accidentally find yourself, It's, it just gives you that second to kind of pause and think. I love games like that. Those are really cool.
Yeah. Well, it's like a meditation technique, I guess.
Brilliant.
Dr. Joe Dispenza.
Yeah, he did the Power of Now, and they did.
No, that's Eckhart
Oh
Tolle.
yeah, Eckhart Tolle. He did. Sorry. I have his book.
Becoming Supernatural.
Oh no, there was.
You are the placebo.
There's one more. The very first one, it had the whole work set with it.
Yeah, I don't know that
Changing.
one.
It's like.
Changing the habit of being
yourself. That's the one I have. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of his.
Yeah, he's brilliant.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people in that whole new scene where people who have very hardcore scientists too, who say that consciousness is a precursor to physicality.
Right.
Versus the mind creating it, versus the brain creating mind. It's the mind creating, or consciousness creating the brain.
Right.
It's pretty brilliant. I love that.
Yeah, I was in a deep like work with that kind of stuff. I want to get back to it,
Right.
but like just manifesting and stuff like that, and visualizing.
it works.
And I guess he discovered all of it when he broke his back in the hospital.
Wow.
You know
I
that
do remember.
story?
Yeah, I remember. He touches on it in that.
Right.
Tell me, like, how did you find that? I mean, what brought you to that?
Trauma.
Welcome to club.
Yeah. No, of course.
Cut from the same
you
cloth.
You don't
Black
go
cloth.
into things like that.
Yeah, you're not running it.
You're not motivated to do those kind of things unless you're in some kind of deep,
Right.
sort of painful state.
Right. If
You know?
everything was sunshine and flowers, you'd
You'd
be
just
no problem.
be kicking
right?
it.
You
Like,
love it.
You're not gonna mess around with that.
What are you doing today? Not rocking the boat.
Kicking it.
You know.
Not to dive too deeply, but when was this? Like, how is this a?
Like 4 or 5 years ago.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
And you know, it returns as well. It's like something, you know, and it's almost like a gift in a way, because it actually, you know, it centers you back into a sort of spiritual journey rather than just sort of like getting by days.
Right.
You know, and then that feels more vital.
And then even the fall takes on a new meaning. You know, if it comes cyclical and you're in this zone, even when you fall, you don't fall as hard, and you also can look at it enough to where you're not fighting it, but you can get some songs out of it. You know, it's you know, you're going to kind of go dark at some point, but
Yeah.
it's not like trying to find that point where you no longer exist in the Buddha field, you know, in the life.
Right.
But that's fascinating to me, man. I love that.
Yeah, it's great for creativity.
Yeah. Are you in that zone right now, or have you?
I'm in a zone right now where
A
I'm
zone?
where I'm dealing with stuff and like
Yeah.
and working hard to overcome things.
New trauma.
You could say that.
She was on the other front, my friend.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, you could say that.
I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, but it just, I don't know, it kind of like awakens something in you that feels powerful and makes you not sorry for it.
Right.
Because then you think everything happens for a reason,
Brilliant.
you know?
There's that magic thing is when I discovered that, everyone discovers it's for their own, but when I discovered that I'm kind of exactly where I'm supposed to be, and I have exactly what I'm supposed to have, it seems small. It's like a mental thing, but when you know that, it has such ripples that it scares me for a little while to think I'm so used to striving because I felt lack, you know, whether it's in my career or life or, you know, everything. And it was revolutionary to have that. And of course I lose it so many times throughout the day. It's
Yeah,
gone,
of
you know?
course. So when you first got your cancer diagnosis, then you went into a state of like deleting social media and all that stuff. And,
Left the world.
And just left the world. What was that like?
It was interesting. It's hard to say because during the majority of that time, that whole few years, I wasn't cognitive. You know, it wasn't like I took this really great retreat. I wouldn't have known how to even get on Facebook at this point. You know, between constant surgeries, the pain, and the medications. You know, it's just, and you know,
gotta focus on you,
right? And I have a newborn at this moment. You know, this all happened at the same time, and but only recently am I really starting to see coming out of it. You know, and I'm starting to like rejoin the world and stuff, and it feels really good. I actually feel more positive and grounded than I have in a while, because it's easy for me to kind of flight up. You know, I can see something and get like. But on a side note, with everything that's going on with you right now, are you working right now? Are you writing? Are you in that space? Oh, so that's a good space to be in.
Yeah, I just moved and I'm writing. I'm writing a lot of poems.
Magic, right?
Yeah, and lots of music. So
I love that, man. There's nothing better when you do that.
it's true. There's something vital about it.
It's those moments that I always feel like I'm not searching because I just know I'm right. Everything's good, you know? When you're writing or you're doing something, I don't feel that lack. You know, it's like I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. I'm working, and you don't have time to even think of it. You're that feeling of like thinking, okay, I got to stay up all night just because that one guitar part or something. You know, you lay down but you can't sleep, and you get it's just magic, man.
Yeah.
So my identity is so wrapped up in that when that inevitable drought comes, it takes with me, you know, it takes my self-worth and my sanity with it, you know, because when I'm not in that streak, I just feel vacant, you know.
Yeah.
But when I'm on it, I'm writing a song a day and a drawing a day, and that's cool.
Yeah, Herman has said the best things are born from necessity.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, I always think about that. So how'd you find out about cancer the same day you found out your
Well,
wife was pregnant?
My wife had known, and it was just, she was had taken a test, and it was, right at that same area where I had just gotten this. I didn't even think they were going to come back with results. I thought they were going to say, you're fine. And it was that, and I was like, man, I'm not going to do chemo, because I watched it destroy my father, and I'm not going to do surgeries. I'm just going to let nature take its course, and I'll fight it and do all natural. But then I found out she was pregnant, and so it's like I'm trying to process two different things here.
Those are heavy things to process,
and everything just kind of like a typewriter when you hit too many keys at once and it jams. It's just like
yeah,
a typewriter for you kids these days.
I remember that. That's such a weird analogy. With
I know
they cross.
You have to pull them all back. It always happened too when I get excited, like, oh, this is great.
Why did you go get tested for cancer? Like, were you in pain or was?
I was always been in pain, and my normal doctor said that I'm having a lot of back pain. I've been having back pain for a while, and he said you should get tested anyway at this time. And so I tested it, and it turned out.
Wow.
But then when I found that out, I was like, well, I want to kind of stick around and see how this goes.
And it was stage 4, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God.
That's palliative, man. That was like right there. I mean, it just caught right at that moment. I mean, it could have been a couple weeks later, and it would have been a whole different story. And they were. I can't preach the praises of Sloan Kettering enough. Just great people.
Right.
And it's a miracle. I'm a miracle that it's here. I mean, all my little complaining is just that. I'm aware enough that even when I'm complaining about my dark beard and stuff, there's that part of me that's like, man, you got it good. Just every day you can go out and play with your son and see the light and have great times with your wife, and I mean, and make music or whatever. And I don't even think if it's good or bad or anymore. I just think that this is powerful and great. So I there's a part of me that's kind of untouched always there. I like that.
Yeah, there's a part of us that's the same as when we were a kid. Is the same. There's the witness that's unchanging. And that's who we really are, and it's the same in you as it is in me.
Exactly. And that's why people can connect. Fractured kids are always like, I got that. I know this guy's got my number. I know, you know what I mean? It connects with people. It's like they understand the same kind of fractures. Yeah. It's so true that it is. It's that same quiet entity that's the observer, the watcher, in all of us.
The witness.
Yeah, I like that.
So you just had the one brother? Or do you got other
siblings?
siblings?
I have another sibling. I have two siblings. I have a brother who lives in Indiana, and I have a sister who lives in Murfreesboro, Tennessee, with my mom in Nashville, or near Nashville.
And what does she do?
She works at a framing place.
Okay. Like framing pictures and stuff? Oh, okay.
That comes in handy.
Yeah. What's that expression about? What's wrong with framing?
No, that's great. My family's unique. I have a unique family.
We all do.
I love them infinitely, though.
And your brother's the one who started Remy Zero.
Yeah, he started it. Yeah.
He started it.
Yeah. In fact, it was really interesting. We were kids, and we got signed so young, and we sent a cassette tape to Geffen and Capitol. Cassettes. Just my brother looked on the back of a billboard and said, I'll send it in care of these guys.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, they both flew to Alabama, and we're a bidding war. It's like, what just happened? And, I was 16 or whatever. And he was writing the songs, and we had an old 8-track, an old Tascam, 8-track that my parents had. Oh, they used to do Outlaw Poetry in the 60s. They got reviewed in Rolling Stone.
So what were they doing?
Well, my mom and dad and their best friends were these people who all kind of got together and started doing outlaw poetry in the 60s. It was
outlaw poetry?
Out loud and outlaw. Right. So they would like freeform poetry with playing music and different songs and structures, and they would record it and release it as records. And it was kind of one of the first ones ever done. And it was reviewed in Rolling Stone and stuff. Wow. It was really great.
What was that called?
I don't know if they had an actual name. They had a lot of different ones. They have One Foot in the Garden. They have different ones that they would do. I'm trying to think of their actual
Did they have
troop name.
A troop name?
Yeah, that's what I mean. And it's so interesting. I've always called it just outlaw poetry. It'll hit me in 2 seconds and I'll regret that. But it was great. They do this. And so we grew up in that kind of household, It was really neat. Like I quit school in like 7th grade, and I didn't really, I lack social things I should have learned, I don't know how when you go to high school or whatever, I missed a lot of that world, how to
socialize.
Yeah, socialize and deal with sadness and rejection, apparently. That's what everybody talks about.
Why did you leave school at 7th grade?
Well, it just wasn't a good fit. I mean, public school, we weren't economically gifted enough to, have private school. And public school, living in, lower income areas was just not cool.
Rough. I went to public school too.
Yeah.
I mean, high school is a torture, I guess, but it's one you're supposed to endure.
Right. and I regret missing out on a lot of that.
Right.
I didn't have a lot of social interactions. I was a very lonely, weird kid for a long time. But at the
still,
same time,
you're still a lonely, weird kid.
What is the pot called? The kettle what?
Touche.
You win this round. Et tu brute.
So, how old were you when you guys sent the cassettes?
Right around then, 17. I mean, my brother was writing these songs and playing the instruments and stuff. And when we got responses,
right,
he made up people's names. Like we had a bass player and he made up a name and a drummer, and it was all. So they came expecting a band, and really it was just my brother. And so real quickly, like he said, "Okay, Cedric was our bass player," and he said, "You're going to be playing bass. You're going to sing." And I was like, "Huh?"
Who was singing on the demos?
Well, me and him sang. I sang on them,
okay, yeah.
But he would just kind of call me in and I'd sing, and he would craft these things. And it was me and him sang throughout the whole of Remy Zero. If he did a song, he would sing it, or I would sing on it, And then if I did a song, I'd sing on it. And then if we did a band song, it was me singing on it. And that was the main vocalist.
So you guys went with Geffen.
Yeah,
right?
well, Capitol first.
Oh.
And we did an album with them that never got released.
Oh.
And that's how we met the Radiohead Kid guys and stuff. And because they were newly on Capitol in America because they were EMI in England. And then we went from Capitol to Geffen.
Why did they not release it?
I don't know. Everybody had gotten fired at one time, and when they do that, all the people's pet projects kind of get stowed.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's one of those.
Right.
Oh my god.
And so
fully recorded,
mixed. Yeah, we came here and worked with a bunch of different people, and then we left there, got signed to Geffen by Tony Berg, who's amazing. He's such a cool
Tony.
Oh, I love Tony, man.
I recorded at his house out in LA.
That's maybe why, because we did too. I'm wondering if
I feel like we've run into each other.
Right, doesn't it make sense?
It does make sense.
he had shorter hair.
Not all the time.
I had hair, and so it was
I had long hair, then I shaved my head, then
I had all kinds of weird color hair. Yeah, for some reason I feel like there's some kind of connection there because I remember going to his house a lot, and you were on the radio on our car constantly, and Tony Berg's amazing. I'd go to his house all the time, and then we went to Interscope, then Elektra, and that was our final.
What?
So, yeah, we've been on all of them.
That's amazing.
And we have good relations with everybody. Everybody's been so sweet. Nobody, there was not any kind of like dropping or anger or like we're leaving or anything. It's been I've been so blessed to just meet consistently really good people as far as, musicians, managers, the business whole has just been great,
So Tony produced the first record? Or?
Well, no, he did. He helped us structure a lot, but we actually produced it. First one was the Tornado record. We kind of did it with this guy named Frankie Blue, who's amazing, and a couple, Ronnie Champagne, and they helped us kind of learn how to produce. We were just producing ourselves, and I think that's why we clicked so well with Botchel, is that when we came to do Villa, we had enough, momentum behind us that we could go home and produce and then bring it, and he would help us get quality sounds and help us kind of make it fit, And then we worked with a guy named Jack Joseph Puig on the Golden Hub.
Yeah,
he's cool, man. They're all cool. They're
legends.
Yeah, huge, man. We were at Ocean Way, and you can't help but be like blown away there.
Did
cool.
you live out there at the time? We
moved out to LA right after our first record because we did the very first one up in San Francisco. We bought like the Tony Berg. We got like the Neve and the 2-inch 16 and a lot of gear, and it was great. A home studio.
Oh, you bought it?
Mm-hmm. Rather than putting the budget into a studio, we just bought that so we could always have it. Because we were constantly writing.
Yeah.
Our biggest flaw. Well, I mean, we got lots. Not our biggest flaw. One of the flaws there was that we would, and it's something I do a lot, is the joy of writing and getting it on tape is just the best. Once it's kind of done, it just goes into the pile. I never think in terms of the external. That's why I have just backloads of so many songs and stuff.
Right.
But it's the joy
Well,
of
that's
that
the hard
creation.
part
It's
is
so
putting
hard.
it out and supporting it and all that and getting other people to believe in it. And
So great to hear you say that.
that's the hard part.
It's so isolating for artists, because that's so great to hear you say that.
Yeah, the easier part is writing it and recording it and having that.
And I love playing live. That's brilliant. Going on tour,
Yeah.
playing live is glorious to me. But
the joy of creation.
yeah, that's just magic right there.
But the finishing the circle by putting it out and touring it and supporting it, that's a bit more complicated.
Little steps right there. It's just so brutal.
Well, it requires other people's involvement
Exactly.
and belief.
Right.
And
With skills that I don't possess. They have skills that can handle with dealing with a certain subset of people or a certain label or whatever.
Yeah.
That is not my forte.
I think in this day and age, it's a little bit more. That can be a little bit more of an independent pursuit.
It's true.
At least that's the rumor.
Word on the street.
Word on the street is
I don't know.
you can put it out yourself and all that, and it can just blow up.
Kids today with their haircuts and logic.
Yeah.
Are you in the process of that right now? Are you recording right now, or
Yeah.
are you in a writing mode?
No, I have a solo record happening, and then I also have some other like a side project thing happening.
That's brilliant, man.
Yeah.
Happening as what, 50%? Like, when can I hear? Essentially.
Well, I have a band with Peter Buck called Arthur Buck.
That's awesome.
And our second
Actually,
record is done and ready to go.
Right.
And then
Totally.
I'm working on another project with him.
Wow.
And
Brilliant.
that one is just in the phase of we're writing.
Oh, cool.
And that's fun because that's where you want to be. I like that's the best.
Are you doing it long distance, or do you go
Yeah,
down
long-
there? Or
long
okay,
distance
right.
so
That's
far.
fun. That's cool.
Yeah, it's been great.
That's awesome, man. That's so cool.
On that, I'm just singing.
Right.
The music's all done, and I'm just like they're
Oh,
giving
wow,
me
that's great.
tracks, and then I get to just write tunes over top of it.
I love that. I used to do that with some of the Remy stuff. Is that we would have like a band playing and structuring.
That's that sound.
Yeah, that.
What is that?
That's probably something
Mm.
upstairs.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, the building is haunted. Go back to your
I love that.
the Remy story.
My whole life is like revolt. We've had the weirdest, a lot of childhood stuff. I think when you have weird energies as a family, you get weird things happening. A lot of strange things levitating and moving, and are just horrific as a child.
What do you mean you had strange family energies?
There was just a lot of strange things. I mean, I'm not kidding. Lamps would lift up and fall off, and we had these old desks, and we put the pencils at the bottom, and you could sit there, and they just roll up the desk. It was just surreal. Anyway, that's a whole separate thing.
Do you believe in spirits?
Oh yeah, the whole ether world, I believe completely. I think ghosts are just like, I think is like almost like a tulpa, like an energy of like your ego, this person that they built up.
A tulpa?
A tulpa is like a thought form that becomes real,
Okay.
and it's like a golem, or it's something it's
What's a golem?
it's like
It's a Jewish thing.
it's a Jewish robot, but it's like
Jewish robot.
A Jewish robot?
It's something deep in the.
Right.
I don't even know what it
Is
is.
it really
I
a
just-
Jewish
It is,
robot?
it is.
It's not a robot,
Yeah,
but
but
it's like it's something like really mystical.
it is.
But then why is it a robot? That doesn't seem
That's his interpretation.
It's something that they would craft it, but it's like a thought form, and they crafted it almost like a Frankenstein situation where they could feed it what they needed it to do. And I think one of the things is that there was a debate, does it work on the high holy days and stuff? But that, on a separate note, the tulpa is Tibetan, but what it means is kind of a thought form that is so powerful that it takes on real form. Mm-hmm. And I think that a lot of times, like I was saying earlier, like this guy who is me, like August Cinjun, is, if I pass away, although when I pass, I don't see me lingering. I think there's a different when spirit comes. And spirit is something I see coming down with consciousness. And I think the other ones are almost repetitive because it's an imprint in the world, Sorry, that's just me.
What do you think consciousness is?
As far as that, or in general? Consciousness
Just in general.
I personally think that it is the foundation of everything.
Right.
I mean, I think that it is pre and post everything that you can conceptualize.
Yeah, it was here
And-
before us, and then
Exactly.
it will be here after us. Like And that's the witness that we were talking about.
Exactly. And when we are, that's the one that remains, it takes in the information. It sounds bad when I say remains untouched, but it's that way in a good way. It is experiencing life in all of our ups and downs in a physical monkey bodies.
Right.
But it's not like it's unfeeling. It's got this, but it remains unmarred. And I think that those can come down. The consciousness also exists on multiple dimensions that we haven't even conceptualized, that we probably can't with our limited ability.
Yeah.
I do think that whole school of thought that the brain is a dampener, like a radio signal, like a radio tower. So a lot of who and what we are isn't like created here. It's more of it has to be toned down to get into this monkey man body.
I was watching some kind of self-help guru thing about like how to access your heart and like ask your heart something, and you touch your heart when you have a question, because your brain is a left and right.
Yeah.
So your brain will go on a loop and always be like, won't really agree on a situation. Right. It'll see both sides and like keep you doing this, whereas the heart is a unified,
that's brilliant,
single. And so if you ask the heart, it will respond with like a direct answer.
And how your body reacts to those is another thing. Like a lot of the people who test allergies, you could take in your hand and, hold the cigarette in one hand. And you do notice a drop, if you're allergic to it. I think your body can respond if you're quiet enough to things like, is this a good idea? And I mean, it's a cliche, but they say the gut feeling or the heart.
Yeah, we have three brains, the gut,
right,
the
literally,
heart, and the brain. That's like that power versus force type of thing, like you're talking about.
Oh yeah, yes, exactly.
Right, with a cigarette,
right.
And that makes your hand,
your body
arm
knows,
weaker.
and that's down to science too. They can tell that your body knows the decision you're about to make before you make it, just down to milliseconds. But your body is already acting to this decision that you think you're creating, like freedom, freedom of will or whatever, that it's almost not real according to the science. But there's also another aspect of that which I think is really cool. Is that, when you think anything that you think is real is just like, even color is non-existent. Like it's all just the cones and rods that you can perceive, right? It's light fractals. So when you think of what reality looks like, some of the scientists say it's probably more of just like a dull gray. The substances is just the vibrations of things that react. There's no solidity to this planet.
Yeah, but how do they know
brilliant.
that? Like, how do they know that?
Well, it's all definitely, the only processor you have is your mind or brain.
Right.
So that the very act of, there is no independent color. So like the whole thing, if a tree falls and there's no one to hear it, in a weird way, it doesn't make a sound, because sound is only vibrations. So is color. So is the vibrations of this make it appear to be solid. Everything is just on this one spectrum. Here's light, sound, color, everything. I just think that's fascinating. I mean, these are like, not like esoteric ideas. It's real. These are like scientists who are saying it, and it's brilliant, man. Just brilliant.
Well, yeah, I was reading about like if you like when you're like everything happens when you apply your consciousness to it. So like my apartment right now doesn't even exist.
Right.
Like that's what the scientists. Right. I've heard that. Like,
it's true.
Like I can't say it in a smart way, but just like I've heard scientifically, like it literally doesn't exist. It's not there, empty.
And it's being proven with the whole, quantum field, or quantum says, and the fact that it would be there would be considered just from a collective consciousness. So if collectively something's there with enough people, the tree will seem to be there even though you turn your head, because there's a million other consciousnesses going on, observing it at different times. But that's pretty cool.
What do you think happens when you die?
That's what I've been trying to tell the tax guys. Look, man, I'm not paying attention. It's not there. You don't exist. My debt's gone.
How, from your lips to God's ears.
Exactly.
I'm with you on that one.
Officer, I refuse to look at what you're saying to me, so I'm not even going to look in your direction. Ow, ow.
Spam risk. That's what I get. Spam risk on my phone when spam risk is calling
really?
me.
Yeah.
Spam risk. Spam risk.
I've never heard that.
Mine just silences it.
Oh, you got a good one. Mine says spam something, but I've never heard it say
Mine
it.
says spam risk.
What service are you using?
Risk. I don't know.
Holy Christ, man.
It freaks me out.
It would freak me out, and I'm just haven't even heard it.
But what do you think happens when you die for real, though?
To me or to...
No, to everybody, like, just, like, because you said a couple things along those lines. You said some people hang around and their ego's so strong that they, like, become lost ghosts, but you
Right.
you don't
You can
think
be
that'll
lost,
happen
too.
to you.
Oh well, I only say that because I think by
You're
the time
preparing.
Yeah, by the time I like it or not, I'm going to be here probably till I'm like 80s, 90s. You know, I don't know why I just know that. So it sucks though, but
Why does that suck?
I don't know.
Because life is hard.
I've had a really good life at this point, man. It's been brilliant. So I don't know, man.
Yeah, you
lots
have.
of dancing, lots of bacchanal.
You made some great music, man.
I have to say the same to you.
I
I'm going to
mean-
reiterate, this is so cool to be talking to you right now. This is fantastic to me. It's strange to think there's a microphone and I'm hearing it.
Well, you barely talk into it. I wish
I
you
did name down this.
Fix that in post.
I keep doing it.
Don't worry about it.
I keep
got
wanting
it.
to talk to you, and I'm like, wait.
I got it. I'll crank him up. He's louder than Mick Rock. Mick Rock was talking like a mile away from
Right.
the microphone.
and you fixed it.
Barely hear him. Yeah.
It's
So-
him, and then a lot of hiss, like,
So you were like, so the band was in LA, and you guys were like, that must have been intense getting scooped up by Radiohead, because they were the biggest band in the world, the most exciting, the most influential. They like across the board, they were basically.
And you know, they were huge, and they were really kind. They were all really nice, and so like a lot of our friends, like the Counting Crows guys, have just like been very instrumental in a lot of our making records and being stuff. So I mean, I lived at Adam's house. Every time we made a record, I pretty much end up living at his house.
That's wild.
With a bunch of other motley
A
crew.
whole
that lived
host
there.
of like musicians all live there, and just
okay.
musicians, artists, everything. It just
He used to have a huge house
Huge.
in the Hollywood Hills.
Oh right,
Like a mansion.
and that's
right?
when he
Full
was
on
with
mansion.
like Courtney Cox or whatever.
no, this is after.
Oh okay.
After.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
I think Ehud's in the Counting Crows, right?
I know, right?
I mean,
He is, right? He's in it all the time.
You're in something, like something involved. You're like in
No,
that,
I didn't know
you're in-
Adam at that period where I just keep hearing the stories
Yeah.
of what went on in that crazy house.
Okay,
Crazy.
well, do tell. We are
I
having
need
a
him. I
we're
need
having
him
a
to tell.
podcast.
I've only heard. I've never got
Enough esoteric nonsense.
right.
Let's get some party stories on
All
the
right, hit
board.
Yes.
record because now we're talking. So my first day, we actually
party stories.
Don't worry, Poppy.
Shooting a porno in the mansion when he was away.
Oh my
Tell some
God.
stories.
Wait, what? Is that for real?
We have a witness right here.
Man, that place is chaos. When I first got to LA,
They're kind of the same.
we went. Yeah, they are.
They're similar.
They're getting more so.
They're very similar.
Now everybody's making this exodus to Nashville, which is crazy, man. Because all these places, when we live there, they're terrible. But then when we leave, it suddenly gets good. I don't know. Wait, now think about it.
Yeah.
What does that say
We'll
about
just stay in Jersey, I guess.
I love Jersey and anyone there.
How's the
Wait.
I know we'll get there. I just
But so
I just had a sidetrack of how long does it take you to get in the city, and how often do you
45
come?
minutes.
about an hour. 40
Oh,
minutes,
okay,
something.
so you don't come out here that much.
My wife comes in every day for her work. She works in this Midtown. She trains in, and it's different. It's 45 minutes of the car, but she trains, which is even longer. We're just everything.
Yeah, but you know what I mean. Like now in our life, it's like we got our home entertainment system
Right.
in our pocket. So
brilliant,
an
man.
hour-long train ride.
I would have killed to have
isn't
this.
that hard?
Right. And just sit and lock away.
Relaxing.
Yeah, exactly.
Kill to have that as a child. We had just pulled into LA, and we were kids from Alabama, and we'd gotten signed, and we hadn't really, that was our first time there, and we were just like, this is crazy. Adam took us out.
How'd
took
you
us
meet
to this-
Adam in the first place?
He was friends with he was on Geffen. So
Oh, okay.
Tony Berg hooked it up, and we just
Shout out
clicked.
Tony Berg.
Love Tony.
I love him too.
Yeah, he's good at like.
He's a good dude. Yeah.
And he would have these meetings and talk, and he was just
He
crazy
inter-
guitar player.
He introduced me to Big Star.
Oh man,
Not
Joe,
like
yeah.
personally,
right?
but
I know.
he said I got to play you this album, and he played me Big Star's third.
Right,
and
that's
he
what-
was
us too.
like, "This is the best album anyone's ever made."
We did a
And like-
cover of.
and I agreed with him.
Yeah.
I was listening to it, and he played me Holocaust, and
That's
he was
great.
like,
We covered Big Black Car. It was brilliant, man. So
Amazing.
I love those guys, man.
"Yeah."
Was
I
it
mean,
Ardent Sound? Is that down in
Just
Atlanta?
such an incredible band, and so different from the first record to the
yeah,
third.
and
Like,
you can see it dissolving as a band, but
But it-
sonically, it's the best one they did, I think.
it's my favorite.
Yeah.
The third one, but the first one is completely amazing
Right.
in another whole way. So, okay, you get into LA and you're
Well,
kicking it with Adam Duritz.
It was just, that's how we met. It was interesting.
Yeah.
But he
Who
took
was
us to
big back then.
huge,
Yeah.
and he took us to his party. We were at Chateau Marmont, and all this stuff is huge for
Okay,
us.
so
and
like
it's
that's
big party.
that's
and
amazing. Like
Yeah.
you're from Alabama and you're in LA,
great.
and that's enough almost. But then you're having the high end rock and roll experience. I mean, staying at Chateau Marmont.
not staying. We definitely had the low end. We were definitely kind of
That's
all.
not low end, even if you're not staying.
Yeah,
it's
we were
like
living-
You're
it was
hanging
like-
with Adam
exactly.
Duritz. So you were staying. Let me guess. You were staying at the Standard.
No, we
No.
were living at a place called Villa Elaine. It was
right,
like
duh.
my cousin had an apartment there.
Duh.
Ding, 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 ding,
They fucking named the record after where they were staying.
My cousin had an apartment there, and we just all showed up, and we had no beds. We all just kind of slept in this room. It wasn't as glorious.
I sleep on the floor now.
I love it because it
I
helps my
love
back.
sleeping on the floor.
Yeah, I have
Yeah.
It's really lovely.
Okay, so what happened? So you're like,
Oh, I just totally.
We lost him.
I know.
yeah, we're heading towards a porno at Adam Duritz's house, I think.
Wait, what?
You got to LA, 95.
You do 7 pornos, and then suddenly you're an actor. No.
He introduced you to Adam.
But I was just
and
strange,
then
yeah.
Adam just took you in just from the kindness
Well,
of
we
his
clicked.
heart.
He was, yeah. I mean, we clicked, and he was such a good dude, man. And he,
Great singer.
great singer, and he knows all. We would talk about all these different artists, and he has that kind of catalog mind.
Yeah,
you
he's
know?
a big music
Oh,
fan.
right.
Yeah,
Yes,
so we could
I've
talk for
listened to his
hours
podcast.
about- yeah.
It's great.
Oh, I didn't know you had a podcast.
It's real good.
I'm so out of loop.
Wow, man,
But
there's
I went
a
in,
lot going on
I
in
saw
the
this
world.
guy in the back who had this machete, and he was chopping this mound of cocaine. And I was like, "What is going on?" It was the guy Twiggy from Marilyn Manson.
Yeah.
Wow.
And
was
Nine
like,
Inch Nails.
What is going on? Yeah, and there's this huge mound of cocaine, and I knew right then. I
I'm
was
getting
home.
sweaty just when you say like
I know.
mound of
I know.
cocaine.
Listen, can we take a break?
So, and did you go in on that?
Did I?
Yeah.
Yes, I did everything, man. Are you kidding? I was young and insane. I did
How old?
every single. 20, 21, something like that.
That's incredible.
But man, it was, you're there living this life. It was like, and I always had that kind of that alcoholic mindset, even before I would drink anything. But I was like,
Yeah.
lay it out. I didn't judge any color on that drug rainbow, whether any drinks, drugs, anything.
Right.
It was a weird time. It was a great time.
Yeah. Well, you survived it.
I did.
And then how long you guys stayed in LA for? How long to write that album?
We just moved there. We stayed there from that point on. We lived there, even up until the Golden Hum, and after that, we only left when we went back to Nashville. I mean, I went back to visit my family on Christmas, and then I just never went back.
Where'd you live in LA?
I was living up in the Lookout Mountain area. I was up in Benedict Canyon for a while, and then Lookout Mountain area, just different places, like all around. We moved out in Silver Lake for a while. It was really cool. It was great.
Why'd you leave?
We were having interband issues,
Mm-hmm.
and it was just too chaotic. I was just interband issues.
And that made you leave LA.
Yeah, I was trying to just get away from everything,
Right.
but
Where'd you go?
to Nashville, to my mom's place.
Okay. So take us back to Twiggy and a knife and a mound of cocaine.
Well, so I moved in with him. No, they were also too cool, man. Everybody's been so cool with me, man, out there. I'm trying to think of any kind of negatives that I had.
I remember one time I was at a party in LA and Twiggy was there.
Yeah.
And I was looking at him because, he's mesmerizing
Right,
in
yeah.
a way,
Yeah.
and he's got charisma and I
Right.
knew he was in Marilyn Manson.
Right.
And then he just started he was he started singing. I'll never forget this. He started singing, I always feel like somebody's watching me. And he was singing it to me.
dear.
Yeah. And then I quickly looked away. It was like,
It's a true story.
true story.
Oh, that's brilliant! Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
Yeah, I've never told that story, and it happened, and it's still in my mind.
That is brilliant.
Yeah.
Staring at you singing it.
No, he kind of looked off. It was even worse than staring at me. It wasn't that aggressive.
Right.
It was funny, actually.
That's brilliant.
Yeah.
I smoked weed one time, and before I played, and it's the worst thing.
Only one time?
I can't play when I smoke green at all.
Yeah, it's hard.
It's horrible. I was so hyper
If
conscious.
at first you don't succeed,
right? I'm a
different kind of addict than you, apparently, because
I like to listen, not participate. When I sit back and I hear it, that's great. If I sit back and just listen to music, it's golden.
It makes
or
you
seeing or paying,
self-conscious.
highly. And you think, why is everyone looking at me? And it dawns you're on stage at the Viper Room. And you're like, what is happening, dude? It's horrific. Sorry, I cut you off.
No,
I one time was at the Troubadour and I was on so much mushrooms that
Holy mackerel!
I couldn't remember what my hand was while I was playing guitar.
That's brutal.
Like
What
I was
your
looking
hand
at,
was?
I couldn't remember what my hand was. It was something like that. It was like, you know.
And the guitar is like cardboard.
And I made it through though somehow. Like it just like, but it was like a moment of like, man, you've gone too far.
You've gone too far. Note to self.
So you were getting the full-on
That's
rock
brilliant.
and roll experience, and
That was
then
beautiful.
and then that was leading up to Villa Elaine coming out.
Mm-hmm. We
Okay.
had started working when we were living in Atlanta, and we have a little studio there, and so we just recorded there for a few of the songs.
Where in Atlanta?
Right in Atlanta, over by you're close to the park.
Right in Atlanta.
Where's
everything's in Atlanta?
Well, yeah,
that's
but not like in
Atlanta.
Norcross or not not
I was
further
a little
out.
5 Points.
That's where we lived there for a long time. That's where
Yeah.
I was born. I lived right up on McLinden, my first house.
Really? I lived on Alta Avenue. My first 3 adult apartments,
Yeah.
like out of my like parents' house, were all on Alta Avenue.
Parents being where? What area?
They were in Ohio.
Oh, in Ohio.
Akron. That's where I'm from. I'm from Akron, Ohio.
Wow.
Yeah.
I know someone else from Akron. There's
Go
another-
Browns. We're in the playoffs first time in like a million
Yeah.
years. Anyway.
There's a couple of bands from
Too
there.
bad nobody's gonna be there.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, they have
No there's no one's gonna be in the
Oh,
stadium.
well, okay.
cardboard cutouts, you know.
You know, watch it on the
This
TV.
could be our year.
Right,
No one
right.
shows up.
Yeah.
What if you throw a playoff?
So, okay, so you did a bunch of it in Atlanta, then you're going out
Right.
to LA. And
What's
you
the college right there? Southern. Dang it! It'll come to me in a second.
in Atlanta?
Yeah, the college. It's right. You're very close to Piedmont Park. We were,
Right.
and so it's I want to say Southern or South. The college that's right there, just close to Piedmont Park, is where we actually lived as a band, and it was great. And then we all had little places around there at different times.
Were all of you guys like 20, 22?
And
kind
we
of
all
thing?
lived together. Yeah.
Man.
And our drummer passed away just not about 5 years ago
Very
on
sorry.
New Year's.
Yeah, from CF, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
And CF and cancer. So it was a combination. That was brutal.
Man. Sorry.
From that first album, did you guys have money at that point? Were you like up and coming, like a buzz of the town, or
We were the most successful we ever have been as a band in terms of about 2 years after we had broken up. That was the first time we ever had gotten any kind of decent check or
This
anything.
is after the third album.
And after we had broken up.
Monetarily successful.
Monetarily, and also we were at our heights right about then too. I mean, when we were playing, it was ironic because we were literally just going up. Everything was just going better than you could ever imagine.
Right.
And we're playing in front of huge amount of crowds, and it was brilliant. And
What size?
1,000 each night, different times. I mean, we'd play festivals too, and then we'd play
Yeah.
small things and
But
stuff.
you're doing your
then
own
we'd do
shows,
grand-
1,000 people. That's
Yeah, it's
that's
great. And we would go, and sometimes it'd be more. Like in LA, it could be much more. Or if it's Akron, it was probably less. At different
Right.
places. And
Don't diss Akron.
no, I love it. I'm just saying.
kidding.
I don't
Go
remember.
Browns.
Go Browns. So
Who are the Browns?
They're the football team.
Gotcha.
Cleveland Browns. So why'd you guys break up?
Yeah, there was just a lot of frustration. A lot of the band members couldn't. There's just nobody could get along. I was enjoying it. It's just, my brother was so very unhappy with where we were going, and he wanted to go and do something else.
He didn't like the direction of the music?
Ever.
Why?
And I don't know. I just don't know.
What did he want to do?
He is very a purist. He would do these things that are the stranger the better.
Right.
So he would try to deconstruct things as much as possible.
He thought y'all were too safe?
Yeah, I don't know. It was just weird. And everyone had different ideas of what we should be doing. And then we got There's a lot of things that just
Right,
I
but
don't
who's
know.
writing all the songs and music? It's you and him.
Right.
So
and the
who's-
band,
who's creating the sound and the tone of where things were going, if not you guys?
And with the
Yeah, but when there's a label involved, there's other pressures and
Right.
people. It just turns into something.
And
It's hard to. Sometimes it's hard to escape.
It's very hard because
a
everything's
box that
right.
you're put into.
And there's so much, suddenly there's money involved, there's all these things, and it's kind of, and which I didn't mind, I was fine. We strive to get in certain boxes. And when we would play like the band, I would work with the band, right? And we would jam on something and create a song, and then I'd sing on it. And it was great. We'd all write together, and then they would usually write with my brother, but my brother was usually isolationist. He'd come in with something written, we kind of play it. He would have the parts already done and recorded.
So he's the moody, complicated one?
Yes. He was very unhappy. He never toured with us,
Really?
ever.
Why?
And even from young, he just, I don't know.
There's something about like geniuses like that are like that.
We get along. Yeah, we get along. We are literally the polar opposites. If I could randomly think, this is a great day, even if he's not near me, I'll get a phone call that says, isn't this a terrible day? I mean, we are so polar opposite, and not just on direction of music or art or whatever. So it makes it very impossible, or weather, or what's good or bad. But yeah, we've tried it a few times, and we did a record called Spartan Fidelity, which was great because we both kind of did it on our own, And it's just as time has gone on, sometimes it comes together and it's perfect, but it's more and more difficult for us to work together, and for anybody. And at this period when after the band, I've consecutively gotten more and more introverted, more and more further away from any kind of thing. And then when I got sick, I just wanted nothing to do with anything. Now the other guys, we almost came back together for a while when my brother was in Cambodia, and we did a few songs, and it was really great. We did a thing for Zach was doing a movie, Zach Braff, and he put it in and kind of brought and we kind of reformed for it. It was really great. And then my drummer got sick, and so it was just a lot of interband stuff.
Kind of like Noel and Liam Gallagher kind of
Very
thing.
much so.
Yeah.
That's what the guy from when we were kids said. That was the first thing he thought, because we were like 16, and he said that was exactly what he thought. But those guys were highly successful, so yeah, different in that way. But that very much brothers where we just could not get along. But we do get along if it's not about when we're hanging out, it's perfect.
Right.
It's great. It's fun and amazing. But it's only when we're trying to work is it gets too cross-haired.
Right. But tell us a little bit about like what that was like though when things were first popping off and you guys were on tour with Radiohead and stuff. Like, were you
brilliant, man? I was so happy. That was like the happiest time of my life.
Was that the Benz tour?
Well,
both the Benz and OK Computer.
Yeah, well, the one before that too, when they first got
Pablo Honey.
Yeah, and that was when we first kind of met them. That's because they were just coming over.
So they weren't massive yet.
They were.
Well, they were pretty much immediately.
Creep was like huge.
Creep went massive.
Yeah,
that
giant.
was Pablo Honey,
Right.
and then the Benz. But like, I'm surprised that they took you guys on in a way because it's a similar sound in a way.
And they did. It wasn't. They were more helpful in the early. It wasn't like we toured with them constantly. We would just kind of occasionally play. But a band like Travis were like our best friends. We would tour with them at all times.
That guy's nice. I met that
they're
guy.
so. I love all of those guys.
Fran, yeah, he's pretty cool. I only met him once or something, but he was a nice guy.
Andy and they're just all Dougie and Neil. They're all just the nicest, coolest people. And a friend of ours who worked as a reporter in the NME. Back in that and the Melody Maker were like the big things where we hear about stuff.
Right.
That's how we had learned about Pixies and our own bands, where from there. But he said you got to meet this guy's Travis, and so we met him and we just all became instantly. So even when we didn't have a label, we would tour together. We have been up recently. We still talk. But when we were playing live, we were just every opportunity we get a chance to play with them. They would come stay with us in LA, and just recently I'd go out and stay with Andy pre-COVID.
Right.
They're just great, man. I have nothing but love for those guys. It was funny. We played a show the first night we met them. We had played the show at his place, and we had taken drank a lot of Red Bull, and
cocaine.
No. I'm just saying we snorted a lot of Red Bull and a lot of caffeine.
Red Bull wasn't even around back then.
I don't know how that happened. Anywho, it wasn't me.
And then what happened?
It was Twiggy.
We had this set that was a normal set, and we played it so fast. The whole thing was over in like 20 minutes.
Fucks music
it
up,
was
man.
flying out. And
in my opinion.
I was like, how did we even do that? I have no memory of that.
It just takes the soul. It just like you're disconnected from your soul.
Unless you're playing a certain type of music, you know. If you're playing something that you would imagine in the 80s punk world or something, you know, where everyone's on speed. I'm trying to think of who does cocaine right. I mean, what?
I mean, Keith Richards.
Well, yeah, but he does everything right.
Yeah.
But I guess the Fleetwood Mac era, who's some other people in that zone?
That's true. Miles Davis, I guess he had a
But he can do anything too, yeah.
Yeah, so I don't think it probably doesn't fuck everybody up, but that's a drug that's a no for me.
Yeah, oh, no, I hear you.
It just separates me from my soul.
Yeah, and if you feel very separate, you feel divisive. You know, you're kind of, there's a part of me that's here. The divide between that inner part of me and my body are never on more of display or cognizant of it than when I'm high on something like that. Because I back up here and I'm like, ugh, you know.
It makes you a desire machine.
And all you do is grasp. That's what I hate. Anything that makes you grasp. If you start thinking, oh, I'm gonna save that for later, it's like, dude, as soon as you get that way, or like, then you gotta immediately like out. So anything that gets you into that kind of like, I don't know. That's what I don't like about that. And you notice it even when you're cognizant, like this is terrible. You're still like, I'll do another one. You know, it's like,
yeah, of course. You know,
so wrong.
Psychosis and creativity go hand in hand. I think
and there was
to some
a lot.
degree.
And you know, substances don't help it. You know, it's not. They exacerbate the problem. Yeah.
Especially that one.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Because you know, for a start, you stop sleeping.
Yeah. Right.
I mean, right there. So just without even the drugs, just the sleep deprivation alone.
Even without drugs, if having a night, just one night of insomnia, I am a wreck.
Oh,
you know?
yeah.
Like just not being able to have that 2 minutes of reconstitution, you know?
Well, it takes more than 2 minutes.
Yeah, I know, but I'm saying I'll take it.
Yeah. Yeah.
How old were you when you left Akron?
I was 18. I left 4 days after I graduated high school.
So cool, man.
I went straight to Atlanta.
Right.
You know, randomly with a band called 10 Zen Men, and I was the bass player that slapped and popped a lot. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
What was? Oh, that's awesome.
I didn't sing yet.
Right.
I didn't start singing until I was 21.
Right. Did you immediately know? I mean, when would you say you kind of hit your stride in terms of like construction of your sound? I mean, who you are.
Well, I was like,
there's no way to react.
When we were in Atlanta, we were doing like, you know, that funk rock type of stuff. And the whole thing was to try to get like people in a live setting to like mosh around. Right. It was, I don't know, the motivation for the music was a certain thing. And then I started singing on my own, and I got an acoustic guitar. Right. And I was writing a lot of words too. And I realized if I simplified everything, then I could put melody and lyrics easier. So I wrote like 10 acoustic sort of singer-songwriter type songs and made a demo tape, and it wound up in Peter Gabriel's hands, like just the first one I made. And then he called me up, and then I got a record deal. Yeah. So then I went to Real World, and that's where I met Dave Bottrell. And so I was just in that world, like Brian Eno sang on my first record. I mean, it was overwhelming. Like, I just the whole time I felt like I was an imposter.
Right. Yeah, I did this too. I've had that
imposter syndrome.
Like, what am I doing here? You know.
Yeah.
You know, it's very similar to that. You know, that's such a natural progression for people when they find their sound, being in part of a band. In the same way, like, you know, Elliott Smith did that with going from Heat Miser, and a lot of people in bands kind of get, and like you said, those roles, and then they find their self. They're kind of like, oh, well, this is not really 100% me, and they venture off. Like a lot of people in like Little Red Rockets and people down in Birmingham who I love, they became Azure Ray, which I love. Maria Taylor.
Shout out Maria Taylor.
And Orinda.
Are the Vallejos still together?
You know, I don't know. I've been so out of the loop. They possibly are. I mean, as brothers, probably. I don't know if they're still playing.
Yeah. I was going to say something, but it just...
That's brilliant that you've had such... I mean, that's an interesting, like, very similar how ours kind of lucked out in that world.
Yeah.
You had that same thing. That's pretty great.
Yeah, it was amazing.
Did that, like what era is this? What years are we
95 is when I got signed,
that's the same.
or 96, I guess. My first album came out in 97.
That's so interesting. You mentioned about the imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
It's so similar to when you talk to someone who... I wouldn't even think about it until you said it, and then it triggers all these memories. It's like, oh, you're right, I've been through that.
Yeah, Elliott Smith came out and was just. Some people come out and they're just completely defined.
I know,
already.
100%. You're like
they have such a great style and they're so dialed in. I mean, I remember listening to him and just going like, my God, this dude is amazing. Like,
hate it. Between bars, I was like,
either,
well, I'm out.
Either or,
man.
That record just
ruined me.
Floored me. Yeah, it just inspired me no end.
And, it's interesting. I saw him at a show. We were at a Mazzy Star concert. Mazzy Star Cocktail Twins. And we were there with a lot of friends, and then he had his friends. So we all kind of were always 1 degree of separation. And in Hollywood, you meet everybody. So you're just kind of acclimated to where it's a small town, but there's a lot of famous people. Mm-hmm. So you don't really get freaked out. But they said, he's over there and he wants to meet you. And I was like, what? And that was somebody who I was just like, oh, shit, I couldn't get up. I was like, what am I going to say? Yeah. You're awesome, bro.
What did you say?
Nothing. I sat back down. I just couldn't do it. And the rest of the night, I'm like this. Man, I should have just said hi. I should have just said.
I met him at Max Fish, and he had just moved to New York, he gave me his phone number.
Get the flip out.
And I was like we were like, oh, let's like hang out sometime, and then he was like, well, it's on you or something. He said something like,
oh right, you gotta call him.
You gotta call, like
right.
You gotta call me,
right? And
then so I kind of like never did.
Oh, man.
Oh, Poppy.
I never did because I just I don't know.
We did the exact same thing. We both dropped the fucking
dropped
Elliott
the ball,
man.
I dropped the ball on that.
That's huge. That's a huge one.
Yeah. Well, hey, I'll put it in my.
I thought
I'll put it in my laundry bag of regrets.
I know, right?
There's a few in there already.
There's a number.
I think I can make a little bit more space.
That's pretty great. There's always a little bit room for more.
Yeah.
I found out just when you think it's over. Uh-oh.
Yeah.
That's funny, man. That's brilliant.
Do you pray?
Yeah.
And who are you praying? Who are you praying to?
I pray in a weird. I mean, I love all the different religions. So I like to read about. I grew up in that Christian world of the South. So I love that whole thing, and I love reading. Any kind of religion has a little esoteric middle. Like the Sufis and Islam and stuff. But I don't really. I pray in the sense that I just try to quiet my mind. And just kind of send out a general thanks. It was a general like taking that moment to acknowledge like the beauty of all the way things are all interconnected, and just that I think that is my prayer, is just giving that reverence and saying thank you and blessing the food, and then of course I ask Beelzebub and Baphomet to send me the power to kill. No.
Slay your enemies. When you were going through the cancer thing, did you ask God to like help you or like save you? Or
it's weird. I think if I would have thought about it more, I probably would have. It's weird to say, because I think by not even focusing on it, I got through it much easier.
What do you mean? You just pretended it wasn't there?
When I was saying about that circuit that gets, the fuse gets blown at a certain level, and then you go blank. And so I just kind of focused on meditation and everything, and it gave me a lot of time. But I was just actually in pain a lot too. So when you're in a certain amount of pain, you don't even know, can't even form the thought of like, you're just like But yeah, it wasn't like reaching out. Not that I'm opposed to that. I think if I was smarter, I would have. You know what I mean? I was just more of kind of like hit that blank spot. I almost just didn't think about it. I'd listen to things and I'd focus on other things. And I think if I would have thought about it more, I would have been more devastated. And I'm noticing that now I have a lot of lingering mental issues from it, because I think by not addressing a lot of things.
You have PTSD.
Yeah, I think only now am I starting to realize that's even why I started drinking a lot and having these things, because you can't explain this to anyone. Even when you try, you're like, I don't want to sit here and just be bemoaning. It's like, you don't get it. But when I've talked to people who've had cancer and stuff, you do have this immediate, like this kinship. He's like, oh my gosh, tell me, are you okay? Even when people tell me stories, I'm like, are you okay? I never thought I would be that
It's so important to be validated.
Yeah, and only they can know. It was like chemo, just like, I am literally 100% not the person I was 5 years ago. I mean, it's when someone takes out an organ, the sheer physicality, your body has to readjust, right? There's things moving. Mm-hmm. There's just, and even think about the chemical aspect and all these things that make up you. a large portion of that is gone. So I have, even to this day, I feel like a large part of who I am is just evaporated, you know? And so I still have these weird, I'm still messed up from it. I really am. I know it sounds like I'm being like, woe is me, and I don't mean to sound
You don't
like,
sound like that at all to me, man. You just sound like
broken.
you're describing some shit.
Yeah.
And being real honest about it.
And I don't talk to anybody about it, which I think I should, because when I do, it's like, oh man, I get it. But I keep it kind of like, no, I'm good, whatever, no, I'm fine.
Yeah, I've been thinking lately I might need to like get a therapist or something. I think that could be. You are?
I have to, yeah.
When are you starting?
I mean,
You started?
No, I haven't. I have to meet it. I mean, I'm only looking at, I'm recently sober, you know. So I had, after that 3 months, I kind of, you know, I was sober for a while.
Yeah.
But
I have flip-flopped on my sobriety
big time, man.
several times myself, man. So, you know.
It's like, I used to have a beer and I was like, yeah, this is great. And now I just get the cheapest vodka and I just sit in bed for a week.
Right.
But I think coming off that cancer has just changed me. And I know there's aspects of me that are similar, but I'm not who I used to be. And
What do you mean by that, though?
it's hard to define. Not necessarily all bad or all good, but I do miss who I used to be. I used to have this kind of like, even if it wasn't in reality, I just had this like energy, you know? And
but age, that could be age as well, because I'm not the same either.
Right.
I mean, like,
but it happened for me. It happened immediately after surgery. I knew something from that day on. Everything was changed, and there's constant pain now that used to not happen. And directly, you know, neuropathy alone. And I don't know. I'm not going to complain about it.
What can they do about the constant pain?
I don't know. I'm going to look into it. I'm going to go to a neurologist, you know, and trust. But I want to do as much like, you know, natural things as I can in terms of just like stretching and yoga and stuff to get it strength. But if they have to like sever some nerves or something, I mean, it's just constant, you know.
Right.
And it's just not fair to the people around me when you wake up and you think, oh.
Yeah, how does Sarah deal with all this?
She's a queen. I don't know. But
yeah, but you can't beat yourself up that much.
I know, but I don't. You know, I don't
really
like
hard
to
on
talk to her
yourself.
about this. You know, so I just kind of keep it quiet. And then I end up spilling. You know, I end up like keep it together, and then of course you're gonna not keep it together. You know, you're gonna slip drinking. But I just gotta get better. I don't know.
No, it's good, man. It's good. It's good. You're letting it out now.
Strange.
Yeah.
You don't smoke by any chance, do you?
I have
Speaking of cancer.
I have these nicotine things.
What is that?
It's just a nicotine. I'm quitting vaping.
Oh, really?
So now I'm
Vaping.
doing these Zyn.
Is it really called Zyn?
Sponsor us.
Yeah.
Brought to you by Jesus
Brought
Christ.
to you by Zyn. You want one of these?
No.
It's heavy nicotine.
No, I'm good. I have a smoke. I'm about to hit one.
Oh, okay. I
Would
don't know
that be feasible if I had a smoke? Just like 2 seconds.
Yeah, I guess so.
Fine.
I hate to
me.
be I hate to be that person.
Go.
You're all right.
Just anytime we talk about cancer, I'm like, yeah, you know what? A little nicotine would.
It seems counterintuitive.
Right?
Yeah.
Chicken
But
and
yeah,
egg.
go for it. Is it okay?
Yeah,
I would promise it'll be not even
Yeah,
5
yeah.
minutes. I just need one quick puff. And I'm
go
good.
for it.
That's fine.
Just
I
go up
apologize.
the stairs.
I've never this is so weird. I think I've never talked about any of this stuff. Like this is the
Well,
weirdest like talk I've ever had. It's like I'm
It's-
actually like talking about things. Like I feel like I'm talking to a friend. You
healthy.
know?
That's great. Well,
really weird.
yeah. Well, I feel like we're friends.
We are friends.
You know, new
That's
friends.
really strange.
Yeah.
I normally would be very guarded.
Well, I'm glad you're not.
This guy is mine.
Let's write a song.
Oh my god. Yes, that'd be great.
And
That'd
we're
be
back.
beyond cool, man.
Yeah.
I have to get over my nervousness though.
Yeah. Well, whatever.
That would be brilliant, man. I would love it.
You want to hear the fan question?
What's the fan question?
A fan of his send the question.
Oh, okay.
Shout out Frank Doriso. The first Remy Zero CD from 1996, opening track, Temenos. Is that how you pronounce
Here
that?
come the shakes.
Among others, is somewhat reminiscent, to him at least, of a late 60s popular psychedelia, but with a modern sense of urgency and intensity. Can you elaborate on the home recording process employed in those formative years and share any creative influences from that time? The first recording from that period were done in rural Alabama. Did that location impact the songs differently from the Hollywood era of Villa Elaine recordings in 1998?
Yes, I mean that's amazing. By the way, thank you. Yeah, I mean, we're very, very highly cognizant of like your area. That influences me in any kind of situation. So even where you're like Villa Lane, we named it after where we live. So depending on the situation, it's very, you feed on the people around you and the world around you. As far as the recording, I mean, that was done, on those little, the 8-track. Well, by that point, we had the 2-inch. My brother wrote it's really complicated to play. But it was really cool. That was mostly his tune. And then this guy, Lewis, was playing drums on that. He lived here for a while. He played with us for a long time. He was our drummer up until the end of that record.
The first one.
The first two, the one, the Capitol record he was, and the first Geffen record he was our drummer. And he was a great drummer. He made things come alive like that. He was like one of those drummers that play musically, like tonal somehow. It seemed melodic.
I love those kind.
Yeah.
Big Star had that.
Great. They even like you get drummers like the guy from Ride was a great drummer, and the guys from the Walkmen. The enthusiasm is more important than the beat. It's just I love that.
Enthusiasm's the most important thing.
Right. It's so brilliant to see that kind of even if you play. The ability to play simply or to play phonetically are both equally complicated, To be able to just sit into a groove is just equally as hard for some reason. Without sitting and working on paradiddles all day. But yeah, he was amazing. They were all great. I don't know what to expand on that. The gear was very important. I mean, we are so when we did the Spartan record, it was decided that we were only going to use what was in this little shed, and so we had guitars that had 4 strings, but we just had to use that, And so we each took our little computers separately, and we had to use whatever was around. We didn't buy instruments, and we didn't, even some of them weren't even tuned. We had to just tune it around it, But
you weren't allowed to tune the instruments?
Well, no, we did, and but there was a certain song on there where we just literally had you drop the guitar and to see where it hits, and you have to write it out. And it was just it was a fun time to do stuff like that, little games, and that was when I first started doing tunings. And so now I can't even remember the tuning, so I have to relearn all these songs. But I would just start it, standard, and just work my way down or way up, and you write a song because it's brand new. Even when you learn it, it's just. There's 7 notes really,
right?
But it sounds different. You approach it different.
Yeah.
Other people's guitars are great. I love that. Other people's instruments just are so much better than the one you're used to.
Yeah.
I don't know how to.
What are the early influences for you personally?
Musically. Well, we were always at such a dramatic different. My brother was over here and stuff that because he's my older brother. Was kind of into things that maybe I just missed, and he would kind of filter down to me, and then vice versa. I was in stuff that he wasn't into. I was into this new kind of thing,
What were you into?
Well, I mean, my coming of age, besides like everyone, I think starts with being obsessed with the Beatles or the Hank Williams soundtrack.
Not everyone. Our last guest has never heard a Beatles song,
except for Danny Bland.
Wait, excuse me?
Yeah. Anyway.
I don't. Wait, what?
Yeah, I know. It's a little hard to fathom.
You can't not hear a Beatles song.
Yeah.
I heard the Beatles when I was 5, and I mean every commercial has a Beatles. I mean,
he claims he's never heard a Beatles song.
Shout out Danny Bland.
Shout out Danny Bland. Great guy.
Now what does he do?
Great writer.
Oh, he's a writer.
Manager.
He's a
tour
great
manager.
writer.
He's a tour manager.
Yeah, and a great writer.
I don't buy that. A tour manager not hearing a Beatles song?
Let's leave it.
Let's leave it.
All right. No, I'm down. That's cool. That's cool.
I'm trying to think of a delicate way of asking you about Alyssa Milano. Is that
she's awesome.
Is that off base?
No, not at all. Clearly nothing's off base. I'm talking about crack cocaine and all this.
So we didn't know about crack.
No, I was trying to say.
Alyssa can wait.
It was crack.
No, I was trying to say drugs, and it came out that way.
So but I'm not just wanting kind of sort of gossipy tales. Right. What I'm more interested in it from the aspect of, the living that life, that elevated life,
it was
and then
weird.
You meet a celebrity and you start dating and then you get married.
And it was the polar opposite. We were living at the Villa Lane and we had no beds. I slept on a sheet and it was just a lot of people there. We were barely getting. We would get CDs from Geffen and then go sell them at the place and go get a burrito.
Mm-hmm.
That's how we lived. They give away free promotional CDs, and that was our job. But thank you, by the way, Geffen. It was great. I mean, it was really weird. It was a weird thing to go from this to that. So suddenly you're being photographed coming out of a store, or there's all these like rumors afoot, or, you know, next thing you know, you go, it's like, hey, let's go see a show. And you can't just say, let's go see a show. You have to plan, you know, how you're going to get over here. It was just really weird.
Yeah.
But
Where'd you meet her?
Adams. At Adam's house. Right. I was living at his house, and she came over there one day, and they were, and you know, I was like, that was all the upper echelons. I was just kind of like, you guys want a refresher on your soda or whatever?
And how long were you dating before you guys decided to get married?
Maybe about almost a year, maybe.
Wow.
Or maybe less than that, actually. A lot less than that. Maybe like 6 months or something.
6 months. So
it's so vague. I don't remember a lot of times back there.
But then it shifted after you got married, and it went kind of dark.
It did. But there's no acrimony, at least on I have no acrimony on that at all. She's amazing. She's a really cool girl and stuff. And I can't remember. You know, honestly, it's not like I'm trying to dissuade. I just don't remember a lot of things back in that era. And even like the stuff like we were talking about, like drugs and stuff. It's like those are the stories that pop up. Really, the majority of time is, you know, that quote that's like, life what happens when you're busy making plans. You know, it's that kind of thing. The majority of time.
John Lennon.
Yep, I know. What? Yeah. The majority of times were these kind of really great times. And, you know, in a normal day, you might be miserable because you're broke, but you could have so many little moments that were awesome. It's not related to like any kind of craziness or, you know, so it seems like we were never like the wild party band. Now, and maybe we were, but I just didn't see it that way. I thought we were neat, you know. We'd go camping along the way of tour bus, you know, tourists, but we'd also make sure we all did these cool adventures and stuff. And I miss that. I have this soft spot for that. I liked experiencing places for the first time for a reason. Like, I don't like the idea of vacationing, like going, hey, let's go see this place.
Yeah,
but if you're there for a reason,
premeditated fun sucks.
It's terrible. It's like every day is like New Year's, where it's like, this is not going to work, man.
Right.
When you just go and you're all there as a unit, and it's not just with the band, although that's a special thing. Going there with friends, but you're doing it for a reason. You're playing a show, and that's amazing. But, you know, just all these little moments of like, we all meet up somewhere, or go say, oh, let's go over here. There's just so many small moments that aren't related to drugs or not related to anything. And but even with but of course, then that's how I'm seeing it. From other people's eyes, it's probably like, you have a problem. You know, I didn't know that. But the same thing with that is what I mean is that there was a lot of little moments in between that made up really great, you know. Right. And I have nothing but, you know, positives with that. I don't know how to expand on that.
But like, have you ever been, like, I guess I'm just trying to figure out if you've like dealt with like toxic relationships that have brought you down.
Yeah.
That's where I'm trying to go.
Have I not been in one?
No, or like, or like, have you dealt with that?
Yes.
And do you work on that? And is that a part of your self-work?
Yes. And I've never see anyone else as the problem. I've always said it's somehow, if something doesn't work out, it's my fault, you know? So it seems unhealthy, and it is to a degree, but now I'm turning it into something positive where I'm saying, you know, if I have a problem, it's my problem, no matter what it is. So I have to like be cognizant of that. So I'm not saying anybody did anything wrong, but it was the combination that third person that is created when two people come together, you know, that you know, it's like mixing, you know, yellow and blue, you know, that you become green if you allow yourself to kind of mingle. And but then other colors just become black, you know, and they were better off on their own. And I'll have a lot of those. You know?
Well, what happens is you get love bombed, you know, where it's a love bomb, and then slowly the abuse happens, and it's a sweet mean cycle.
Yeah, right.
And then but then it comes back to the love bomb, and it's like it's very much like a drug addiction.
Yeah, extremely.
And it creates a trauma bond.
And then it levels out, and then you you need those spikes, you know. Yeah. Just to kind of remind you, it's like, this is a good idea.
Yeah, but those things.
I mean, I always, all relationships like that, I always, to my own fault, had one foot out the door from the beginning. You know, I mean, I could even distinctly remember relationships where I thought, wow, this person is going to make me miserable, and I would, like a moth to a flame, you know.
Well, a toxic relationship can make you physically sick, too.
Yep, very much so.
You know?
Very much so.
I mean, it's something that you have to definitely...
And, you know, I think, too, it's where you have issues, relate to kind of who you are. Like certain things, like people who have heart issues could very well have a heart, you know, and the esoteric issue along with the physicality. You know, I think it starts in the ether and works its way in. You know.
Yeah.
I definitely agree with that.
Do you ever research anything about narcissistic personality disorder?
No, I haven't. I mean, I understand what that is, but I haven't.
Yeah.
I'd like to what expand.
Well, it's a community on largely on YouTube of people that just like dissect all aspects of toxic relationships.
Right. Oh wow.
And it's fascinating because, you know, we have interspecies predators amongst us, you know, and that's the whole idea. There's like manipulation at hand, and it plays on, you know, your vulnerabilities.
Yep. Even down to the psychic vampire aspect. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Sure.
Doing it.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
And even when not in reference to, but like something like being in situations where, I mean, it was strange for me and Alyssa too, because we were in two different stations. You know, it's like
right.
I didn't belong in that world, I don't think. And she was amazing. You know, she was very kind. Everybody, her family is kind. Everybody's nice. But I don't know. I just try to look everything back as what did I do wrong, you know, to create something bad.
Well, that's ultimately where you have to go.
Right.
But on the way there, there's also dissecting a potentially abusive, toxic situation. And that can't just be all like, right from the jump, oh, it's all me, and because you're leapfrogging to a period like that's when you're deeply healing, when you can take it all back in on yourself and understand that you are responsible for everything in your field of consciousness, which is the ultimate truth.
Right.
But to get there, you can't skip the steps. You have to kind of analyze the situation and understand.
And I am kind of easily kind of falling into things, you know? I kind of easily go into things kind of...
Boundaries.
Yeah, and I can easily be kind of like, you know, you go over there, and I say, okay, you know, without thinking, oh, no, I want to do... You know, I can easily, like, moved.
Right,
know?
And people will do all kinds of wild stuff to manipulate and control. I don't know why, but I feel like this instinct to talk to you about this.
No, I need to go on.
You know,
do I pay you or how? Because I just we're talking about therapy. I just an hour at a time. I'm in.
This session is free.
Right, first one's free.
Dude.
I need more to talk.
Yeah, it's just it's something you maybe want to research on YouTube.
I will actually.
It's there's so much information about it, and you could just like.
I really need that, actually.
Put NPD in the search engine, and it's like, you know, it's validating and revelatory. Yeah. You know, it's just like it opens your mind up to things.
I really need to. I am gonna check that out.
Yeah. I could send you stuff too.
Yeah. What I was gonna say is that is that newly?
I research it. Well, I've dealt with it for years.
Right.
But yeah, it's something that can recur.
Right. Okay.
And
I don't mean to pry. I just
you can let your guard down.
Right.
And, you know, it's the same thing with drug addiction. Right. You know, you can relapse.
Oh yeah, right.
You know, you can find yourself in
those triggers come.
in a pickle.
Yeah,
so to speak.
That applies to many.
Yeah. So so you're just now coming back into a new form of creativity now, like with painting and with music and stuff like
great.
that.
Yeah,
like,
I'm really inspired.
What? How long has that been going on for?
Well, you know, since I've been here recently, I met some guys down in Belmar. I think it's Belmar, or it's near. What's the other famous Asbury? It's near that. It's Belmar. There's one other name for that area there, and these guys are amazing. There's a guy Raymond and Mike and Piz and these guys and Paul. I've kind of met these guys through a friend of mine, and I just started playing, and it felt so good to be in a band dynamic. I'm a good co-conspirator. Like I like to be part of that, you know, because it gives me a chance to kind of not sit there and handle it. You know, I like to just sing, be a singer, you know.
Right.
And I think, you know, a lot of the instruments and things I learned out of necessity. I had to do that, you know. I had to do it, you know. So that was cool, and I'm really excited by that. We really clicked, and you know. We were playing some shows and stuff, and we had, you know,
Those are the
the
guys
labels
I
and
filmed you
things.
with?
Yes.
That sounded great. That,
And they were
that
so
session he did
Yeah,
with you.
yeah.
That like you should do a record like that.
Well, that's what we were working on, and then the
I
COVID
mean-
thing happened. These guys are real sweethearts. I love that. So in the meantime, I'm doing a lot of solo stuff. There's more of just me, sitting in the room and just very simplified and just kind of doing stuff I can. But I just missed that. It was so fun to play. Those guys were so sweet, and I love it.
Do you
And
want to
we-
release an album soon?
Yeah, that's what we're in the middle of it. Our publishing just reverted back to us on the 31st, the Remy Zero publishing. So we're
Who's us?
the band. It was with Warner Chappell. Now it's ours. So we're debating, who to go with. Different
Reissue and stuff?
Well, who we can sign now a new publishing deal. It's all ours now.
Wow.
So we're gonna sign a publish, either stay with Warner or go with some other options. And there's some other options that I'm talking to that also want to do besides the catalog, do some stuff with me in the band. So we would have our separate thing where it's personal solo stuff. It's just freedom, because I want to produce things. And so these guys, some people I was talking to have that ability. They have labels that they're, and part of this bigger company. And it's exciting for me because it allows me the opportunity, because I think I'm good with working with bands, especially because coming out of where I am, I can kind of help people see what's really cool about them, hopefully. And I want to do movie music and stuff. There's so many things I want to do. But yeah, sorry, long story. I want to do a record with them and then just release a bunch of little solo things. I love those guys.
Yeah, working with a band, it's like
great,
if you get a magical chemistry going on, there's nothing better than that.
It's brilliant.
It's just
And they were playing, and we started playing a couple of these new songs, and just to be a singer for a minute was so cool, because when you're alone, you don't get that. You can record it and then come back and sing, but to just play and just let the vocal guy, like, I'd see it rise or fall. It's like, okay, cool, let's go this straight. And when everyone's in succinct, you can almost do it by body language. They can tell when something's going to rise, fall, or go left or right. And it's so fun, man. I miss it so badly.
I learned something from Brian Eno that was when he sang on my record.
Fuck you. I can't believe hearing you say that alone just kind of knocked me off. Hearing something I learned from Brian Eno when he sang on my record.
Well,
That's brilliant.
He did this thing where he wouldn't want to listen to the song at all. He wanted his first impression to be recorded.
Brilliant.
And so in this new project I'm working on, that's been my main rule, is I don't listen to it at all until I'm recording.
Right.
And so I get like, in the invention as you're like reacting in real time, and knowing that you're recording makes you kind of go for it in that way to try to make something work. And that's the way I've been writing on this thing. And it's
true.
Been
You can feel it.
It's been so successful in a way, like, to do it that way. It's
something too. You can sense on the record when someone does that. It feels dangerous, and you don't know why. Even if it's just there's something like.
I mean, I never use the first take or anything.
Right.
It's just like phonetic sounds
Me
and
too.
melodic impressions and rhythms and stuff like that, and then I develop it. Like I do 10 takes, and by the time I'm on my 10th take, like, there's lyrics going on, and there's actually like.
That's how I write. It's just with the computer. I mean, with the tape or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's great because sometimes it can go either way. Sometimes something starts off brilliant and it can be worked to death.
Right.
Or something, and you have to go back and think, wait, this was actually cooler. Follow that train,
Yeah.
And that's great because those little improv things set the meter. It gets something that spills in a certain way.
Yeah.
Like vocalist, and I miss that. It's so great. That's such a great idea.
Yeah, so that's a good one. And
That's interesting. That's
the
a
other
fun-
thing I was doing was not being precious with the words. Like, just the idea was to get it done.
I love that.
And then just write word. I mean,
I
don't
can't
be
do that.
lazy.
I wish I could. You're good at that.
Yeah, I was doing that, and I was thinking, okay, there's like some throwaway lines here and there, like, oh, that one. But then when I went back and listened to it after I had gone through and done 12 or 15 songs,
Right.
I was surprised at how much I actually liked the lyrics. Even there's something about it, like the whole thing. Cool. Like, it captures the subconscious when you approach it that way.
And that's so brilliant because that's something exactly what you said. It's something I've been trying to do. I'm just so hyper conscious. It's really hard for me when I start thinking lyrics. I'm just terrible at it because everything has to be.
Well, you create your reality, so if you keep telling yourself you're terrible at it,
I know.
you'll manifest that.
But some of the better things I've done is when it's either improv and I stick with just that melody, and or sometimes I've written lyrics first, which is really interesting. You know, it's really like. But for me, I'd write if you get one line that has some kind of something to it. It feels like to me, if something hits you on that one line, it's almost like the rest of the song fleshes itself out. There's got to be some kind of thing. So every other line, whether it made sense or not, you would give room for like the creative to some. You know, if you mentally say this makes sense and this makes sense, it becomes stilted.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd always leave like a couple lines where it's just like anything. You know, for like I hate to say poetic, but something. You know, some kind of line that you leave in, but even though it doesn't make sense to you at the moment, in retrospect. It feels like someone else was writing a song. It's like, oh, I mean, that's smarter than I could have done, you know, like consciously. Sometimes when I think this is really great, it's just, okay, A met B and D, you know. But when you leave this room for the spirit to activate, you know, just get out of the way and let it happen, I think that's great. And I'm really trying to do that a lot. But that's great. Are you doing that successfully right now?
Yeah.
Because it's hard.
It's really been great.
That's brilliant.
You know, the music they've been sending me is incredible too.
Gotta hear this too, man. I'm excited.
Yeah,
I can't wait.
That helps, but obviously, you know.
Well, I want to hear the solo stuff too. I mean, are you applying it to that too?
No, the solo stuff is approached differently.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I mean, because you're involved from the jump,
right?
So it's hard to be like surprised at where you're going. But do you think like?
That's cool.
Your songwriting and lyric writing has been like prophetic. Like, have you like written things that and then they happen 10 years later? And
even down to
like
cancer.
That? I know, because I was listening
to.
I was thinking about that when I was listening to Villa Elaine.
Yeah.
There was something about being healthy and this, that, and the other, and I was like, I wonder if he.
A lot of stuff happened with that, and right after the band broke up, I wrote a few songs that I haven't released. Like literally to the point about carving out cancer and the whole situation that.
Before you had cancer.
Yeah, and a lot of and that applies
wild.
also to relationships that have
That's
happened.
That's insane. You have a lyric about carving out cancer.
Carving out cancer and like how leaving the world, and because I was, you know, just it's called Unearthing, and it was really I was shocked. The whole thing was about literally what's happened to me, about the death and burial and rebirth and all that stuff, and it also applies to relationships where I've been shocked. And that's why I was saying leaving room, because when I let stuff happen, just kind of like on an artistic side, later I'll go back and it's like, holy crap, you know, that literally happened. At the time, you didn't see it. Like it can sense the end of a relationship or the end of this or someone passing long before you can.
It's like when you let go, you invite genius in.
Right, exactly. Get out of the way of it. That's brilliant. I like that.
Yeah.
That's so. Like
so what are the lyrics that predicted what's the line?
Well, just it's the whole thing about carving out the cancer and the star held up with wire and steel and all the and it mentions all the tubes being held together and the whole thing is about the end of the band and about just the death of it, as if it was a person.
I think it's because time is an illusion and everything is happening
at
now.
the same time.
At the same time, so you can like visit your future.
And physics, you know, are close to proving that. You know,
right
outside of that time, it's hard for people to conceive of something that could exist forever outside of if time is some kind of construct thanks to what the gravity and the torsion of the, you know, electromagnets. It's just brilliant to think of that communication dimensionally, you know. And
when you know that, do you ever like think of a line and then it's a really good line but it's saying something dark and tragic about you maybe that you think maybe I shouldn't write that line?
A lot of times.
Dude,
a lot of times.
Too.
Not just one or twice, a lot of times.
Yeah, and then...
Or you don't want someone else to hear it, you're like, hey.
Here's the question. Do you go ahead and write it down or do you not write it down?
Oh, I write it down.
I write it down too.
And I don't know if it's going to end, but I write it down. Because it's usually a really good line. It's like,
I know. So it's like I'll forfeit my personal safety for a good line.
I know.
I'm like, are you crazy? Why are you writing this down?
Even the fear of like, am I going to make this happen? I mean, it gets me in the spiral. It's like, am I saying this, making it happen, or whatever?
Yeah.
But it's usually, if it was throwaway, it's one thing. But it's usually like, damn, it just fits so perfect. So you just got to keep it in.
I know. I'll sometimes debate it, dog. Like, I hear the line and I go, no, I'm not writing that.
I know.
I'll like sit there and like argue with the creative voice.
Right.
Like, nah, bro.
No, I'm not doing that. It's like, well,
go ahead, give me another one, like some uplifting shit.
Right.
Like, I don't want to go in this direction. And it'll just be like blank. Nope. Right. You got to write it down.
What
write
happened
it down.
to sunshine, peppermint, and rainbows? What? This isn't about unicorns at all. That's brilliant, man. You know, that's something too that only when you're in the thick of it that you would understand. You know, you can't explain that to someone else who's not in that.
Yeah.
It's only in that situation where it's like, it would almost seem passing to someone else, but like when you're in that thick, you're like, man, you don't realize how heavy that is. That lingers on your fucking head for days, you know?
Oh, yeah.
It's not just casual.
Yeah, especially when you have experience of creating, of knowing that you have predicted situations in your life.
That and throwaway songs where you're kind of like, I didn't think about it, and then it's like, oh, man, it says something heavy, and it suddenly becomes like one that everyone likes, and you're just like, oh, man, you know? It's dark.
What's fatherhood taught you?
I don't know, man. I have to say, I never would have a million years thought I would be. I just was not geared towards that, and I'm the coolest father, man. That surprisingly, I can get down on myself for everything, but I'm the coolest father, man. And I'm too busy even enjoying it day by day to even have formulated something, because it's so new every minute. You know, it's so consistently new. It's like, and it's a combination of things. I just. Luckily, me and him clicked in a way, and it's just like, it's just fascinating. I know I go on about it, but it's just insanity.
What's insane about it?
I mean, just to see this little monkey coming and becoming cognizant, and suddenly you see personality develop. Then you see little things of them, you know, doing these things. Like I came back after I was gone for a while, and he had sat and, you know, he's 5 and is working out guitar, like really not just kid playing, like working out pianos and drawing. And it's just so, to see him seriously doing that, and it's just so proud. That's great, man. I don't know. That's one thing I'm like, I never wanted in a million years, and now I could never imagine it without. I know everybody says that, but it's just absolutely brilliant. And I'm a good father, man. I'm awesome. That's one thing I know somehow I know how to handle it.
Really?
I think just years of, I don't know. I was about to make a bad joke, and I didn't want anybody to hear it, so.
Years of fucking around.
Yeah, and just constant relationship abuse and misery. No, it's good, man.
Were you terrified when you found out that your wife was pregnant?
Yeah. Terrified, and terrified is not the word. Just, you know, when something you haven't decided if it's good or bad, you're like, just like, oh shit, this is heavy. You know, this is big. And in the concert with the other stuff going on, it's like, it almost gets to the point where you start laughing. It's like, this cannot be real.
Right. It's
like every single thing at one period. It's like when it becomes almost comedic, then it helps you deal with like the insanity. Because usually it'll come like one thing. It's like, oh man, it's terrible. What? No way. And just so many things that just kind of collapse. Turned out great. Turned out really good.
I've been learning how to let go of being attached to outcome.
Right. That's hard.
That's
hard.
Yeah.
Is this a new thing also?
Yeah. Learning how to let go of being attached to outcome.
What does that mean?
Well, because if you're attached to the outcome, you induce suffering.
Mm-hmm. The outcome. Give me an example.
Like if you want something to go down a certain way,
and it doesn't,
or you don't even know if it's gonna go down that way or not. You're just like attached to something you can't control going away. That's like, you know.
That's the core Buddhist principle. All suffering is aversion or attraction. You're either going towards something or not wanting it to happen. It's the seed of all suffering in this world.
Right.
And it's true, man. It's hard to let go of that. It's really hard to let go.
Yeah, it's like the work of a lifetime. What got you into Buddhism?
I don't know. Just kind of fell into
probably
it.
Probably Buddhism got you into Buddhism.
That was my first movie. It was on the set of one of these things. I was doing Marines Don't Kiss Part 7, and there it was.
Now we're back at Adam's house in a porno and a mound of cocaine.
He was no. I don't want that to sound.
No.
Shout out Adam.
Yeah, edits. No, it wasn't at his house. I'm just saying
So what got you into it?
I don't know. You know, it's early on. It's that period when you're young and you're just reading a lot. You're trying to figure out your way. You know, and you're like, you have no idea. You know, everybody's reading from everything from the dark, you know, Western things of like Sartre and stuff, and then you're reading the Eastern philosophy. It's just when everybody goes to their natural search, but somehow that stuck. And I saw like some of the nicest Christians were Buddhists. You know, down in the South, some of the nicest people who lived those kind of ideals were in that realm. And I like the fact that they literally don't want you to join. They're just like, you know, if take whatever wisdom, you know, it might help you, but don't convert. Stay with what you are. Just take what you can, you know. I thought that was great.
Yeah, I like that. That's attractive.
And you know, there's a great thing about about what they say is if you want something really bad, like one of the things to do is focus on it, set your intention, then you have to just forget about it. It's by harping on it and that things go south. You know,
you push it away.
Yeah, it applies the same of just you got to leave room for these things. You know, purposely make yourself. I say dumb, but in a good way. Purposely make yourself thin. It's just saying that's outside of my wheelhouse. You know, that's bigger than mine. Like I can't master that, so I'm gonna let that just be. Because I've noticed, like when I strive to master all the angles, it leads to nothing but frustration. Now it's closer to what you want, which is great. You just got to know that balance, I guess, which I have not mastered at all.
None of us.
No,
have
I don't
to.
know.
Nobody out here.
It all sounds good, but anyway, where's the drinks?
Nobody's mastered it. You write poetry?
Not really poetry. I write and just let things freeform, just for the fun of it. You know? And I'll write like songs, but I think of them as songs, but I'll just write long things. It could never be song, but I like the flow of ideas in certain lines. I love words, man.
Maybe you're a poet.
I've always have a knee-jerk fear of the word poetry, but
why?
I don't know.
I don't, and I'm just like whatever.
That's cool though.
Yeah,
I got to get over it.
I just feel like who cares?
Right.
Like even I would never call myself a poet. Why not? Just call it like who gives a fuck? You're putting too much import already. You're the one who's got you're the one who's pretentious about poetry then because
I'm bringing that issue to it.
Right.
It's innocent.
It doesn't have that issue. It's just
great.
It's just fun with words.
See that I do. I love words and I play with them constantly. I always try to think of other ways to say the simplest thing, and it's fun. And when you get on a roll, I could write notebook after notebook of just craziness.
And you read a lot?
Oh yeah.
Who's your favorites?
As far as like nonfiction,
writers or whatever.
Right now, Murakami. Right now, I love Yukio Murakami. He did 1984 IQ, you know, and he did
1984 IQ.
Yeah, it's 1984, but it's spelled 19 IQ. It looks like IQ. Huh. He's brilliant. He's a Japanese writer, and I just can't get enough of him. He's amazing.
What kind of stuff is it?
The Wind-Up-Bird Chronicles and Kafka on the Shore. It's just so surreal. It's just so surreal. He plays with time and all these weird things, but it's just telling a story, but he does it in a way that's not laborious to read, you know?
Right.
It's just great, man. He's cool. Real easy to read, but still there's depth and lightness. It's just
What's
great,
the best
man.
If I want to read one, what should I start with?
Well, I got what was the first one I got? I got pulled in on some of the smaller ones that I thought were just really great because he captures this world really great. But then the bigger ones I just loved are his like classics. I mean, Wind-Up-Bird Chronicles. What the one right before that? You know, I'll find one. There's one that I know that was my entrance to it.
Yeah.
That I love. What are you listening to right now? Do you have any external?
You talk. I mean, you talking about
yeah, at the moment.
We're both listening to you too.
And Remy Zero.
Yeah. I apologize.
No,
where's the name come from?
Honestly, hold on. I was like, I ride that skateboard all over the city.
Oh, no
it's
way.
an electric skateboard. It's
That's
amazing.
awesome.
And just jamming to Remy Zero on the way here and on the way from Brooklyn, it's killer for that.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's like epic. It helps with an epic skate.
That's great, man. That's awesome.
Your
that makes
music
me happy.
goes really good with that.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I want one of the skateboards, man. That sounds cool.
Oh, that's the best thing ever. It makes going to wherever you're going the funnest part of whatever you're gonna do.
Yeah, my favorite part is being in a car. It's just being able to sit there and just see things go by, or seeing, sitting in a car alone. I just sit there for hours, but having that kind of view.
But the skateboard, you're carving. Right? It's like you're surfing in the city.
Wow. Yeah.
It's like surfing.
That's great.
Yeah.
Well, I gotta try that.
Yeah. Where did the name come from?
My brother came up with it. It was actually his name before we were a band. He changed his name to that when he was really, really young.
Oh.
And
his actual name.
Yeah, before there was even a band.
What is his name?
Remy Zero, but it was Shelby. Was his original name.
Oh.
Shelby Ray.
Does he go by Remy Zero now?
He vacillates, back and forth. But it's his legal name. There's been so many radiations about how that's happened. I always thought it was that, there's a lot of different things. I thought it was the Kate Bush song, Army Dreamers, where it goes, Mommy's Hero. But I thought it said, Remy Zero. But I have no idea. But it could have been anything.
What's your sister's name?
Rachel.
Oh, she got a normal name.
Yeah.
You're
I'm
Cinjun.
August Cinjun Tate.
Shelby.
August Cinjun
And then
Tate.
she's Rachel.
Mhm.
That's
Rachel Gale.
funny. She have any kids?
Yes, she has two children,
Oh,
and
cool.
her daughter has has 2 children. They're all
Wow.
living with my mom in Nashville.
So
Or,
you're a great uncle then.
yeah, I am a great uncle, but
Yeah.
I am a uncle many times over. And my other brother, they all have children. I'm the only one who has like 1 kid.
Right.
But I want a lot more. My wife doesn't want any, so I have to figure that out.
You're out of luck, buddy.
Well, not necessarily. Have you been to South America? Kidding, absolutely kidding, joke.
So how long have you been painting for?
All my life. I love that because painting, that's
Yeah,
what's
your stuff
freedom.
is good. I've
Because
seen
you don't feel any pressure for that. So I just paint tactile. I would never say I'm a painter, but I love it. Because
Again,
I
with
see
this, I
Sarah.
won't say I'm a painter. I won't say I'm a poet. Who
Well,
cares?
Right? It should. I
You
shouldn't
paint.
even care.
You're a painter.
It's awesome. I am
Quit putting
painting.
so much importance on it.
That's
I would call
true.
myself a
It
walker,
is
but I do
true.
walk. Yeah. I love it, man. It's frees me up so much.
You paint. You're a painter. You're a
And-
fucking painter.
Yeah.
You
when
sing.
I'm making music
You're
or
a
writing,
fucking
I have
singer.
stuff everywhere and
You
paint
write
laying around.
lyrics. You're a fucking poet. It's like
I'm a dancer, a walker,
exactly
a sleeper.
a smoker, a toker, a midnight,
a joker.
a midnight. What is the lyric?
Joker, I thought.
Midnight
A midnight
Joker.
Joker. Right?
Yeah.
There you go.
I'm a
Boom.
joker.
You can't say boom after you butcher.
Yeah,
the
right.
lyric.
I know.
No mics
You
were
don't,
dropped in this.
you don't
At
get to
least-
drop a mic after like,
least-
what's it?
at least I
And a
picked up on
joker?
it.
Yeah, I do. You caught
Boom.
it. That was good.
I mean,
save.
that's fine,
Come
but
on,
don't
I
give us a
picked up
boom
on it.
afterwards. Fuck's
No
sake.
bang, but more of a whimper.
I could call
Damn it.
myself whatever I want. Boom.
All right.
All right, so what's left?
Well,
I think we've
thank you,
covered.
man.
Frank
great.
has one last question,
Oh,
okay,
yeah.
what is it?
and then we could wrap it up. There is a sense of haunting fragility weaved through most of the vocal performances, and it is absolutely beautiful.
Thank
Where
you.
do you draw this inspiration from?
That's for one. That means the world to me. So thank you very much for that.
Thank
It
you,
really
Frank.
does.
Yeah, well, it's
It does
true
mean the
though.
world.
Your
That's
music
beautiful.
does possess that.
That means the world to me.
It's emotional. It gives you chills. You know, it's.
I've always. It's weird. I always thought of my emotions as a liability. I always felt like it was, but I don't.
Wait, what do you mean by that?
Well, I just always thought like I was, and I've been accused of it too. Just like somehow, I'd be guided by emotions. Like sometimes I'll write songs and I think, man, almost like embarrassed by a song, and then it's like, well, I did this song, but it turns out to be something that they liked, and I always tell if I'm on to something good, if it's embarrassing.
Because it makes you vulnerable.
Yeah, if
And
you're like
vulnerability is
embarrassing or you
power.
don't like it, right, and you open it. So I don't know. I just try to follow my intuition on that. And I've always felt like I sing for ghosts. Like I always felt like my only reason for being here is not even to sing for people. I mean, in a way, we're all ghosts. But early on in my childhood, I just had this image that I just sing for ghosts. That I sing for, and not applied to spirits or whatever. But or just broken, or I don't know. I just felt like, or maybe ghosts to my family. I felt like I sang for a lot of people in my DNA that couldn't. Like a lot of my take my family back, and it gets kind of sadder and sadder as it goes back. My DNA, my genetic lineage. So I feel like I sang
Why
for
does
them.
it get sadder?
Well, it's just a lot of people. There was a lot of singers and artists and stuff who never got a chance to kind of shine, or never got their voice heard, or weren't allowed to be due to social constraints at the time. When you go back into the 40s, and my grandmother was this beautiful opera singer. But her and my grandfather kind of had to follow certain norms in the 40s and 50s, and that coupled with, sadly, addiction. They were alcoholics, and addicts. And you see these kind of broken families as you go back. And we did our lineage, and then do genealogy. And I was thinking, oh, that'd be great. My sister did it, and the only reason she could trace it back because it's distilleries and like backwoods distillers and like lawsuits, like back and forth. This full Southern thing. I kept hoping it'd be like some kind of regal bloodline, but it wasn't.
But that's regal in its own.
It is. It's
that's
regal in its
its
own
own
way.
way, man. And there's a soul there that's like good for, making music.
That's true, and you see that as the black eyes and broken teeth they are kind of beautiful in their own quality. There's a lot of like that Shane McGowan look. But I just that's what I always thought. I know that sounds like too like esoteric, but that's what I've always felt like. Just 100% swear to God, like I've always felt like that, and I just follow my intuition.
Feels like that was like a Nick Cage movie, The Ghost Singer.
Oh, really?
I'm kidding. It was like Ghost Rider.
Don't you have a song called Ghost?
Lots of songs are about ghosts.
I want to write something called Ghost Singer based on you.
I will.
Yeah.
My name, they've always called me Ghost Man because I disappear all the time. But that was meant more as an insult, not as a cool thing.
Right.
Although now I like it.
Do you talk to spirits?
I don't have the ability to, in terms of like being able, cognizant to see things. I don't have the ability to do that. I can sense things, but no, I don't. That's not, like even the word ghost is even applied less to, ghost catchers or whatever. I just mean more in that kind of like these weird old Southern ghosts and old traditions. I feel like even like songs are like ghosts. Like you walk into they're out there. If I pace around outside and I kind of bump into a song or bump into an idea and it felt like a ghost, like it would possess me for a minute and go away. But I don't mean it in terms of being able to say like your grandmother's here and she's really proud of you.
Right.
I wish I did. I don't. I just don't have that.
Do you get messages from like the universe? Say like if you're walking down the street and you're thinking of something, and then you'll read a sign and it'll be like a direct.
Yes, at all times.
Really?
And I can also pick up on huge like emotional things. Like Lee in Cambodia was dark.
I was gonna crack a joke.
Sorry. What was the joke?
That he clearly didn't get the sign, the directions to get here properly.
Yeah, I can pick up. That's right.
Before the podcast, you missed all the signs to Cafe Bohemia.
I missed a lot of signs. I have different signs.
So you get that all the time, like communication from.
Yeah, I don't know if I project value onto like randoms, but I don't believe that. I think that I can tell if something's
actually
resonant.
Message.
Right.
Yeah, resonant.
I mean, it's hard. I don't like talking about it because it always makes me sound like silly or whatever. But I live on that. I live in that ether all my life.
Well,
I've always lived in that zone.
Yeah, I guess it's like a symptom. Because it happens to me too, and somebody told me, hey, that's a symptom of psychosis.
Right, I know.
But
my father had manic depressive psychosis.
It happened to you with me. Like we've seen it.
Okay,
happen.
yeah, fair enough. Okay, but then you're just saying that there is no magic here. Like there's nothing. Like you know what I mean?
Right,
like
right.
if you were going to just like put it in that category of like that's just mental illness. Right. That like deflates all like possibility of maybe the universe, maybe everything is consciousness, and maybe including a sign, including. I agree completely.
Yeah. And a lot of the people who say that, when you look at their lives, it's like there's a lot within your life that could be defined as insanity. There's certain dysfunctions. A lot of the people who, because my father was legitimately had that. He had manic depressive psychosis back in the day. And he had to take medicine for it, lithium, and that runs on both sides of the family. And so I was super scared of that growing up. But there's a period I was a dark kid, and then suddenly it just went, everything that was dark, it's like all things being equal, I choose to go in this direction. And
I think
just changed my life.
Being an artist is like dealing with the similar, I guess, for lack of a better word, demons in a healthy way.
Right.
Like it's like
going up to the edge,
Yeah, and it's translating those things or giving them a space to exist. Like I mean, even writing poetry, it's like lines suggest themselves to you. Where are they coming from?
Right.
And
you write something that maybe resonates in a deep way with a lot of other people, that maybe you got that line on your way off the cliff, but you gave them that line so they don't have to go off the cliff. There's a value in that, I think.
Absolutely. Do you ever listen to Abraham Hicks?
No, I haven't heard that.
Oh, okay, I want to send you some of that.
You've got to. Let's trade up information, man.
Oh, for sure.
We got to.
Absolutely. Thank you for doing this.
Thank you, guys. This has been brilliant.
This has been really, really brilliant. I hope you feel good about it.
Yeah, this is great, man. This has turned out great. I felt like we were just talking, not even interviewing.
That's what we're doing.
It felt really great. I like that.
Yeah.
That was cool, man. It was great meeting you.
Great.
It's always great seeing you.
Cinjun August Tate.
Thank you very kindly.
Hello.
Thanks, Ehud.
Thank you so much, man. Bye, everyone.
Bye. Hi, this is Joseph Arthur. Thanks for checking out Come to Where I'm From. Please support us on Patreon, patreon.com/ComeToWhereI'mFrom. We are an independent podcast, and any contributions you can make are greatly appreciated.